your Lincoln Cardinal. Good sportsmanship is a vital component of high school athletics. The OSAA and our student athletes recognize that judgment calls, either by coaches, officials, or the players themselves, are made in good faith.
Hello and welcome to Mike Walsh Field with Oregon Sports Beat, bringing you all the action of this first round 6A playoff between the Lincoln Cardinals and the Reynolds Raiders. Hello everybody, I'm Shane Downey, joined by my broadcast partner this evening, Garrett Imeson. Garrett, Lincoln, known for their defense, while Reynolds has certainly had no trouble putting up points, especially last week, winning a close one against Oregon City, 62-61. It sounds like a matchup, a great defense against a great offense and a very tough quarterback. What can you tell me about the quarterback, Tyler Christensen?
Well, he had big shoes to fill. Reynolds had a, I believe, 2 or 3 year starter graduate last year, and Tyler Christensen was kind of the quarterback in waiting. He was coming up, and he's kind of made a big splash, including they put up 60 points or greater 3 times this year, had that massive shootout, the most fascinating game in high school football last week, that Oregon City 62-61 game. They're an offense that will test this defense because they are also a really deep team. They're a lot bigger than a lot of the PIL schools. I mean, Lincoln still got a larger roster, but Reynolds is a deep school. They've got a lot of options. They move a lot of players in and out. It's going to be an interesting matchup tonight.
I think it's going to be an excellent game between number 11, Lincoln Cardinals, and number 22, the Reynolds Raiders. Of course, the Lincoln Cardinals, back-to-back PIL champions, went undefeated after their Week 1 loss against Lake Oswego, and boy, have they shown some good things in the last few weeks. Back-to-back games, scoring 49 points, their season high, so Lincoln certainly no slouch in the offensive department, as well as Lincoln storms the field. You see the Lincoln Cardinal logo at midfield. They are ready to go. Injury news. Ben Hoge went down last week. It didn't look good. Turns out that was the case. Unfortunately, he has an ACL injury. He will be out for the extended amount of the playoffs. Hopefully, we're hoping it doesn't affect his baseball senior year, but we shall see in that department. Lincoln Cardinals 8-1, undefeated in league play, PIL champions in back-to-back weeks. And talking to head coach Wes Warren before the game, he's seen improvement week in and week out, especially in the penalty department. I know you've been at another PIL school throughout the season. We did do one game together earlier this season, but penalties were a problem early on, and they improved on that. And playoff football, that's when it's really going to matter.
That's when the nuts and bolts can really come down to it. And cleaning up penalties, that's a big improvement for Lincoln.
Let's step aside for our nation's national anthem. Excellent job, as always. Your nation's national anthem brought to you by the Lincoln High School Band. Just a few minutes away from kickoff, the Lincoln Cardinals playing host to the Reynolds Raiders. First round 6A PIL action. You mentioned Tyler Christensen. What a game he had last week, quarterback of the Reynolds Raiders. You know, he can throw it. We know that. Passed for 361 yards. He was efficient, 20 out of 25 completions. Did throw a pair of interceptions, so 5 incompletions, 2 interceptions out of those 5. But he can also do it on the ground. A dual threat, if you will. 157 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns. Went for over 500 yards if you combine them. The defense is going to be tested, and Wes Warren knows it. Play action is going to be in play, especially for the Reynolds Raiders. As far as the Lincoln High School is concerned, PIL champions, the Cardinals, it's going to be business as usual. The wing T offense is always hard to stop. And speaking of the points that the Raiders gave up last week, giving up those 61 points, their defense is going to be tested as well.
Absolutely. I mean, this game I could see going a variety of ways. If both offenses click, we could have a kind of high-scoring game. I could also see Lincoln getting their defense going, keeping Reynolds off the field, and maybe we have a bit of a more lower-scoring match. I could honestly see it going any way. It's so much fun when you see schools from completely different conferences in playoff time who don't have a lot of common opponents get together because you never know what you're going to get.
Lincoln Cardinals are led by their senior quarterback, Chris Burns. We know that the Lincoln Cardinals love to run the ball in that wing T offense. However, we have seen Chris Burns over the last few weeks start to sling it a little bit, and I expect more of that here tonight. Try to keep that defense honest and keep them guessing throughout this ball game.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time where you might see a wrinkle or two from a lot of teams. You know, that work for Chris Burns kind of throwing it. We may see that introduced as some kind of new element to the offense that maybe Reynolds hasn't prepared for. Although I expect Reynolds may be doing something similar with their offense.
The Lincoln Cardinals in their red and white. Meanwhile, the visitors, Reynolds Raiders, in that forest green and white uniforms. Reynolds, if you're wondering, Reynolds High School out in Troutdale, Oregon. Not too far from here, just on the outskirts of Portland on the east side, as we're just moments away from kickoff to start this round 1 playoff game. Of course, the Lincoln Cardinals won a couple playoff games last year before finally falling to Sherwood in the round of 8, and they will be kicking off to start things off here in this one. Ben Paul, number 12, will be kicking right to left. 2 men back to receive. Cameron Osborne and number 10, Abe Taylor, back to receive. Here's the kick. Takes a bounce and is going to go out of bounds inside the 30, so not a bad start position for the Reynolds Raiders. They're going to be going left to right and led, of course, by their quarterback, Tyler Christensen.
They're going to come out hungry. This is a program that hasn't won a playoff game since, I believe, 1997. So this is a school that's looking to erase almost a 20-year drought for playoff wins.
All right, 2 receivers set. They're going to hand it off. Trying to go up the middle is Christensen. We mentioned the play action. Well, they're going to keep the Lincoln defense on their toes, trying to run up the middle there. Christensen nowhere to go.
Yeah, there was a fake there to Chris McMichael, I believe, for Reynolds. And we should see a lot of that. There will be some misdirection, but that's something the Lincoln defense is used to seeing. The wing T has a lot of misdirection as well, and they're used to defending it.
Here's the snap. Quarterback drops back under pressure, now taking it up the middle, finds a hole, running near side, and runs into Nolan Osmo out of the secondary. A lot of movement there from Christensen, but he couldn't find a hole there trying to turn the corner.
That's a great open field tackle by Nolan Osmo there, number 21. You know, Tyler Christensen, he's not an easy guy to tackle. He's got a ton of yards on the ground, and that was a one-on-one tackle. That's a great job by that young man.
Short gain, 3rd and about 7. Shotgun snap, quarterback rolling left. Has a man deep, but covered, and he's going to take it himself, get tackled short of the first down marker. And I believe we'll see the punt team here early on. Nice stop by the Lincoln defense.
Man, talking to head coach Wes Warren before the game, that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to come out, maybe get a 3-and-out, because he knows this Reynolds offense, if it clicks, can be dynamic. You get a 3-and-out, and you give the Lincoln offense time to dominate the time of possession. That's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to take some time off the clock and let Lincoln dominate.
Here comes the punt. Matt Easton back to receive at the 25-yard line. He's going to take it on the far hash mark. Stays on his feet up to the 35. Taken down there, and the Lincoln offense will get started with their first possession. Just under 2 minutes off the clock for the Reynolds Raiders. And one thing that the Lincoln Cardinals have dominated in the Wes Warren era is time of possession. Let's see how long they can hang on to the ball here. Ball security important, especially here at playoff time. Chris Burns getting the start under center in that wing T formation. One receiver on the near side, that's Phil Rogers. 1st and 10. Here's a snap, handoff to the left side. Nolan Osmo spins, taken down just shy of the 40. Short gain for Nolan Osmo.
And Calvin Meyer for Reynolds did a nice job getting into that edge and stopping that run short.
3 on the play, going to be 2nd down and 7 for Lincoln. From
Kept it a short gain. That outside run play has been so successful for Lincoln in the Wes Warren era. That was some good defense sealing that edge and getting through those edge blockers.
The home team, the Lincoln Cardinals, always well represented here at Mike Walsh Field, but Reynolds Raiders traveling well as well. There, we're going to hear a lot of crowd noise tonight. Here's a handoff to Ed Slavin, trying to cut it up the middle. He's going to get to the 40. Not much room to work with for Slavin.
Yeah, and Reynolds has done a good job here on the first couple plays, sticking to their assignments, knowing that ball can go a lot of different ways. They did a good job plugging up the middle there, keeping that a short game, and making it a 3rd and 6 for Lincoln.
Both defenses playing well here early on. You see the wing T formation for the Lincoln Cardinals. They hand it off to Malachi Rodriguez. He's going to get close to the 1st down, but about 2 yards short. Now, at this part of the field, Coach Wes Warren has been known to go for it, but we are seeing the special teams unit come out on the field. He's not taking any chances here early on.
Reynolds will be one of the more potent offenses that Lincoln will face this year. He's not going to give him a short field if he can help it.
Back to receive for the Raiders is Cameron Osborne. Here comes the kick. It's going to take a bounce at the 25. Look like Osborne's going to let it go. He finally picks it up. Dangerous to do it there at about the 20. Looks like they'll take over at about the 21-yard line for the Reynolds Raiders. So some quick action. About 4 minutes off the clock here in the first quarter. Still no score. Both defenses able to stop the respective opposition.
Yeah, and I expect we're going to see a little bit of a change here in the Reynolds offense. You know, Coach Wes Warren was talking about he's prepared for a lot of what some call the dink and dunk kind of passes, those little out passes that are almost blocked like runs, but they're just meant to get a receiver out in space. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of those here to try and stymie that Lincoln defense.
One man in the backfield. 4 receivers split left and right. They are going to hand it off, try to go up the middle, but they run into a wall. The defensive line for the Lincoln Cardinals, a trio tackling the tailback there. That's number 33 for the Reynolds Raiders, Chris McMichael.
And I think I saw Liam Saltzman in on the tackle for Lincoln, but there were 2 or 3 Cardinals right on top of that play.
Anthony Pelster, we're going to have to keep an eye on him for the Raiders. They fake the handoff, throwing far side, caught at the 40, beats the defender. This could be trouble. 30, 20, 10, touchdown, 80 yards, catch and run. And on the board is the Reynolds Raiders. That goes to Abe Taylor, the senior. Once he missed that defender in the secondary, nothing but that green artificial surface in front of him.
Yeah, that was a good job by Tyler Christensen to read that zone and find that slant route in between the 2 levels of the defense, of that zone defense. And then once he hit it, it was a good job by Taylor to just hit the road and get running and make it all the way to the end zone.
Penalty flag on the field.
We have a penalty on the field that will stop things momentarily. It's worth noting we did get word that star running back Anthony Pelster is out with a shoulder injury. So that explains why we're seeing a little bit more of McMichael. He could be the lead back for the Reynolds Raiders.
That's even going to more put the offense on the back of Tyler Christensen, although he has proved himself more than able in recent weeks of carrying that load.
On to kick, number 50, Pedro Campos. Plays both sides of the line, the holder, Jaden Hawkinson. Here comes the kick, plenty of distance, up and through the uprights. No, they're saying no good. Maybe I didn't have a good look at that one, but it had plenty of distance. But 6 points, that 1 point could be crucial. Remember, Reynolds Raiders only won by 1 point last week.
Absolutely. It could be a very tight game throughout. There's no doubt that you don't want to leave any points on the board.
So 7:35 off the clock. We mentioned Lincoln Cardinals defense playing strong in that first series, but they gave one away there.
Yes, they did. One big play, and that's something Lincoln has done a really good job of avoiding, is that big play.
I would make no qualms about it. That was the longest defensive play that the Lincoln Cardinals have allowed all season long. Their secondary has been strong throughout the year, but an excellent catch and run from Abe Taylor.
And now it's up to the Lincoln offense to respond. After going 3 and out on their first possession, they've got to respond and see what they can do and get that Lincoln style of football in full effect here tonight.
Absolutely. So once again, it'll be Pedro Campos with the kick. 2 men back to receive for the Lincoln Cardinals. Mujib Rufai on the near side, but it's going to go in the second level. Some trouble, but luckily near the out-of-bounds marker as that one bounces out of bounds. Will Duffy, second level up man there. So 7:32 on the clock here in the first quarter. 6-0 in favor of the Reynolds Raiders. The Lincoln Cardinals have not trailed in too many games this season. So like you said, let's see how the offense responds here. Burns under center. Receiver on the far side, and an early flag. I didn't see any movement, perhaps a delay of game. We do not have the benefit of a play clock, but neither does the quarterback.
And that came from the side, Judge, so I think they're going to see some kind of movement, although I didn't see it up here in the booth.
Didn't see it, but that will back them up 5 yards.
First and 15, Lincoln from the Lincoln 25.
First and 15, getting started now at the 25.
A tough start when you're trying to dig out after your first possession was a 3 and out to give yourself 5 extra yards they have to make for a first down.
1 man in motion. They fake the handoff. Now trying to go across to the near side. Just a short gain again. Malachi Rodriguez perhaps getting that penalty yardage back up to the 31, a 6-yard carry for Rodriguez.
And Rodriguez has such explosive ability out on that edge. He's really tough to stop, but so far Reynolds has done a good job getting to the edge. It's been a couple plays in a row they've tried to break him outside. Haven't had a lot of room for him to work.
2nd and 9. Reynolds Raiders leading it. Chris Burns rolling right, has a man, and it's tipped near midfield into double coverage. Nice play by the Reynolds defense. Looks like number 4, Cameron Osborne, playing both sides of the field, got his hand on it. Absolutely
great play, and looks like DeAndre Katz was also right in the vicinity. Good job by both defenders. 2 Reynolds defenders in the air. It's a risky throw for Chris Burns, but
however, a flag on the field. We were looking downfield as the pass flew, and a roughing the passer penalty. So that is a huge play for the Lincoln Cardinals. Automatic first down. That'll move the chains.
There's nothing that gets under a coach's skin like a penalty like roughing the passer, because it doesn't affect the outcome of the play at all. That play was an incomplete pass. Didn't matter if you roughed the passer or not, and yet now you're giving up a first down.
And now we have a whistle. The Lincoln Cardinals were hurrying up to the line of scrimmage. They're going to say, hold on a second. Let's make sure everybody's good to go. 1st and 10 from the 46, trying to get across midfield now. Here's the snap. Handoff, and they're going to run into a couple defenders. Number 23, Ethan Stahl with the carry, but a short loss on the play, and he really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, Tate Blaylock, the senior, 6'1", 205 pounds for Reynolds, did a great job getting in there, plugging that hole up, and making the first initial contact.
Lincoln, as we see some movement on the defense, but no whistle. Here's Nick Osmo with the carry across midfield up to the 47 in Reynolds territory. Going to be third and short upcoming. We've seen Nick and Nolan Osmo continue to get carries here on the Lincoln offense. We knew Nolan last year. Nick, a new member of this varsity squad, just a sophomore, but we've seen him improve week after week. Here's a handoff to Easton. He's going to find a hole for the first down. Gets enough up to the 40. Nice job with that diagonally running by Easton.
And you may have noticed it on that play as well. There was some movement on the defensive line for Reynolds. I don't know if they're just an eager group, but if I'm Chris Burns, I'm noticing that. And if I get to one of those close situations, give a good hard count, because you've seen a good amount of movement from the defensive line here.
The Lincoln Cardinals have no shortage of offensive options to carry the ball, although they did lose one. Ben Hoge out for the game. Here's a handoff, trying to cut up that inside hash mark, but once again taken down near the line of scrimmage is Ethan Stahl.
And that was Blaylock in again on the tackle. He seems to have done a really nice job on that edge, making that first contact. Couple plays now on this drive.
Looks like a loss of 1, 2nd and 11. The Reynolds Raiders defense, if you take away that roughing the passer penalty, played excellent thus far. Here's a handoff to Malachi Rodriguez. Spins, stays on his feet. Still on his feet. He's going to get pushed back. Watch out. Be careful with the ball. Let's see where they spot it. They're going to give him forward progress up to the 40. Just 1 yard on the carry. But third and long. On the ground, they haven't been able to get much of anything.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for keeping fighting on a play. But at the same time, once the defense knows they have you stood up, until they hear that whistle, they're going for that ball too. You're right. They definitely need to be careful.
A little bit of motion. Gaudio, Malachi Rodriguez in the backfield. 3 different options. They're going to hand it to the other option. That's Ed Slavin, who stays on his feet, powers forward. He's going to get taken down. However, it's short of the first down marker, but not by much. Now, at this part of the field, I would expect Wes Warren to go for it. Looks like the offense staying on the field here. Artificial surface here at Mike Walsh Field.
Absolutely. You don't have a whole lot to lose here by going for it, because a punt's likely not going to net you that much. Might as well roll the dice and see if you can pick up a couple yards.
A little bit too long for a field goal, so a huge play here early on in the first quarter. They hand it off, and he's going to run into trouble, Matt Easton, and that's a turnover on downs. Excellent stop. As you see, number 10, Abe Taylor, who scored the touchdown, signaling that they're going to take over on offense.
And Nathan Manson, the junior for Reynolds, was in on the tackle that time. That's a big momentum swing in favor of Reynolds, coming off that big score, able to keep Lincoln off the board. We saw a better sign of what Lincoln likes to do on offense, but not able to capitalize and finish off that drive.
Matt Easton got the call on that 4th and 2 play, not able to get the job done, so Tyler Christensen will take over, going left to right. 1st and 10 from the 35. In the shotgun, they're going to spread things out and hand it off. No, he's going to keep it himself. A little trickery there as Chris McMichael was in the backfield, but Christensen takes it himself. A gain of maybe 1 on the play.
And that looked like a true read option there. You know, a lot of times at the high school level, it's scripted. You know, the ball's going to the halfback even if it looks like an option. That was a legitimate read option there for Tyler Christensen.
Certainly an intelligent quarterback in the backfield. He's going to air it out near midfield, and a dangerous pass into well covered there by the secondary.
Intended for number 10, Abel Taylor, broken up by number 6, Hunter McKercher.
Abe Taylor, once again, the intended target. Hunter McKercher Davis getting in on the action.
That looked like they were going to go for a very similar play as to the touchdown. Abe Taylor was in the same spot, but this time Lincoln defense able to jump in and block, knock around that pass.
McKercher Davis not far away from a interception. This is a wobbly deep pass, and that's into the hands of Mujib Rufai, the safety. He's taking it back across midfield, finally knocked out of bounds in Reynolds territory. However, we do have a flag on the play.
I think it's on the return. I think I saw it come out late.
So Rufai, who also plays on both sides of the field as a receiver and at that safety position, when that ball was released, you saw it wobbling instantly and knew it could be trouble for the Raiders, and Rufai able to come down with it.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of space there for Christensen. I think maybe he threw it up thinking maybe my guy can get it, and if it doesn't, they'll tackle him quickly and it'll be like a long punt. Didn't work out that way. There was a nice return, but the penalty kind of brings it back right about to where that pass was intercepted.
So I believe it was a holding penalty after the interception, but I'm sure Lincoln will take it, because they would love to get on the board before the time expires for the first quarter. Try to tie things up, maybe take the lead. Burns back under center. Here's a handoff. No, he fakes the handoff. Rolling right, has a man deep, but overthrown for the tight end. That one was intended for Sam Paris. Chris Burns, the play action, a new wrinkle in the Lincoln offense as the season has progressed. He's been giving more trust by head coach Wes Warren to throw the ball, and just a little bit shorter of a pass, he may have completed that one.
Yeah, and I think part of the issue there was he was still being pursued, so he wasn't able to set. That was kind of a jump throw. It was an impressive arm, but just not able to get that right accuracy.
All right, here's a handoff going up the middle, finding some space, staying on his feet near the first down marker. A nice run by Ed Slavin, and I think that's going to move the chains as they get the ball up to the 45-yard line. Slavin showing his power on that play.
Yeah, he ran right over Kadon Fletcher for Reynolds. You know, he was there in the right position, but just there wasn't much slowing down Ed Slavin on that play.
Slavin not trying to get too cute, just powering his way up the middle. Two receivers set. They're going to hand the ball off to Osmo, trying to turn the corner. He's not going to get there as he's wrapped up at the ankles. Nice defensive stop there yet again by the Raiders.
The Raiders are going to make sure that any points Lincoln scores tonight aren't coming easy. They're doing a great job getting penetration. They're fast. I mean, that's one thing I would say has really impressed me. The team speed for Reynolds has been really impressive so far tonight.
Loss of one, so 2nd and 11. So far, Burns 0 for 2 in the air. They have not been able to move the ball too well. Ed Slavin, the longest play from scrimmage with his 11-yard scamper. Here's Malachi Rodriguez trying to get up the middle. He's going to get it near midfield. 3rd and 5 to go, right there at the 50-yard line.
This is always that mid-range play that's really interesting for a wing T offense because it's such a prevalent run offense. But 3rd and 5, I mean, that's an area where you at least start thinking pass as well. So it's always an interesting dynamic between that wing T offense and needing to pick up a medium chunk of yards on one play.
1 minute to go here in the first quarter. Reynolds Raiders struck first here in this first-round playoff matchup. Lincoln on the move, trying to convert here on 3rd down. Here's the handoff. Running near side is Rodriguez, and he's going to get across that first down marker. Sideline is pumped up for the Lincoln Cardinals. They will move the chains yet again. Malachi Rodriguez showing his strength there on the ground.
Yeah, and we talked about Ed Slavin normally is your kind of power back for Lincoln, but that time it was Malachi Rodriguez's turn. He ran right over Kadon Fletcher as well, who was in position probably just where he needed to be to stop that play of getting to the first down marker, but there wasn't any stopping Malachi Rodriguez from getting to the chains.
Lincoln going with a 2-receiver set. They throw near side, have a man. Phil Rogers overthrown just a tad.
Just a tad. I mean, that looked like it was almost off the fingertips. I mean, that's about as close as you get.
Burns getting some opportunities, not missing by much.
Phil Rogers is a great target out there on the edge. He's 6'1", 195. He's got some nice height. He's got a little height advantage, it looks like, over the corners for Reynolds, which makes that kind of play nice.
Back to the wing T. Here's the handoff, trying to run off the left guard, not getting much, up to the 40-yard line.
That deep pass may not have been successful, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to it because they were that close to pulling that one in.
If he catches that, it's a tie game. So up to the 39, another third down. Let's see if they get a playoff before the end of the first quarter. Looks like they will. Receiver set to the far side this time. They fake the handoff, rolling right, has a man up the middle, caught near the first down marker, just a tad short. Brandon Lightgeb on the reception.
And now if you're Lincoln, you're wondering about a little bit of deja vu here. You're about where you were last time, about the down and distance you were last time. What are you going to dial up here to try and get that fourth down conversion this time?
That is the end of the first quarter. The Reynolds Raiders striking first, leading 6-0 over the Lincoln Cardinals. An 80-yard catch and run by Abe Taylor, our only score in the ball game. And we knew the Lincoln defense was going to be tested. They've been burned once. It's up to the defense to respond, and they are moving the ball now, but 4th and 2 upcoming here in just a moment. Let's tell you about Washman. Wash it at Washman. Enjoy a sparkling, clean car in only 3 minutes. Save time, save water, save rivers, and wash smart at Washman. It's better for your car and for the environment. Now at 12 convenient locations to serve you. Wash it at Washman. The Thirsty Lion Pub and Grill has handcrafted food, beer, and cocktails with locations in downtown Portland, Washington Square, and the streets of Tanasmore. And the Grand Central Restaurant and Bowling Lounge, your home for fall football, bowling, craft beer, and a new game room located at Southeast 8th Avenue and Morrison Street. 2 great options that have something for everyone. 4th and 2, handoff up the middle. Ed Slavin breaks free, and he's going to score from 34 yards out. Ed Slavin ties this game up to start the second quarter.
That's a beautiful play because it's so simple. That was just a handoff right to your power back, lined up in the fullback position. It was meant to be a fullback dive just to get a couple yards, but all of a sudden Ed Slavin saw green in front of him, took it all the way.
That did not take long. When they wanted 2 yards, they got a lot more to tie things up. Now to take the lead as Reynolds struggling in the kicking game, missing that extra point. Here's the kick, has the distance, and it is through this time. Lincoln Cardinals take the lead, 11:53 on the clock here in the second quarter.
Both defensive have been pretty good tonight, except for each team giving up one big play. You had the 80-yard pass for Reynolds, and then Ed Slavin able to break through on, again, what was meant to be a short yardage play, just enough to move the chains, not enough green, just no one up the middle ready to stop him. 2 big plays, and those are the 2 scores of the night.
We don't have the benefit of replay here, but I'd love to see what the secondary was doing on that play, because once he broke through the linebacker area, there was no one to be found on the defense.
I think they may have been reading an edge play, so some of those linebackers were looking towards one of the edge runs by someone like Malachi Rodriguez. They weren't expecting the simple right up the middle, in between the tackles run of Ed Slavin.
Well, Ed Slavin getting the job done on the ground here early on. Here's the kickoff. It's going to take a bounce at the 25, picked up there at the 30, staying on his feet. That's number 27 for the Raiders, DeAndre Katz on the return. Gain of just about 5 yards on the return. And Reynolds, let's see how they respond now, trailing for the first time.
Yeah, the momentum shifts are so important early in a game like this. Playoff scenario, both of these teams, they've got a lot of excitement, especially a team like Reynolds. They weren't here last year. The school hasn't won since the 90s. This is a big deal for these teams.
Jerry Wilson of Alpine Mortgage, when you're making this major financial decision as buying home, you want it done expertly. Jerry Wilson has been providing the community with home mortgages for 22 years. Call him today at 503-699-6444. Go Cardinal football. Make it happen. Shotgun snap. Here's the handoff to up the far side, excuse me. That's Chris McMichael on the carry. Gain of about 6 yards on the play. So just underway, 30 seconds off the clock here in the second quarter.
Now, it's interesting. Both these teams like to run the ball, but they are completely different styles of making it happen. Much more spread formations here.
Two receivers. Handoff to McMichael. Spins and taken down there.
Number 33, Chris McMichael on the carry. Brought down behind line of scrimmage by number 81, Phil Rogers for Lincoln.
And you may have noticed there that
Loss of 1 on the play.
in a kind of read from someone you might say like Jim Harbaugh, in that read option offense, they're taking their opportunities to hit Tyler Christensen because you can assume he's a runner. And there were a couple nice hits. That's the defense just let them know they're there.
Liam Saltzman in on the tackle as well, the linebacker. Two receivers split left and right, one man in the backfield. Christensen has it, low snap, rolling right, throws deep, far side, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver.
And he had space there. It was just thrown a little high. Could have been brought in, but that pass should have been lower. He had space. He kind of ran a nice route, find a little spot in the zone. Tyler Christensen recognized it, but just not able to get that ball completed.
So 4th and 5, the punt team on as the Raiders unable to convert a first down on that possession. I suppose it's not over. We have seen some fake punts this year. They are going to kick it away. Easton back to receive. He's going to let it bounce and roll out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. A net of 53 yards on the punt. Not bad at all. 10:22 on the clock. Lincoln will take over on offense, leading for the first time, Chris Burns.
And that was a couple 3-and-outs. I mean, that was one big key for West Warren, was getting a few 3-and-outs against this offense and then letting the Lincoln offense rule the time of possession. That's now twice they've gone 3-and-out on the Reynolds defense, on the Reynolds offense.
Two men in the backfield, one man in motion. They hand it to the motion man. That's Gaudio. He's going to turn the corner, has some room, stood up near midfield, but still a long gain, about 18 yards on the carry for Cosmo Gaudio.
And that Ed Slavin run just seems to have energized this Cardinals offense. That's their probably second biggest play of the night, right behind that Slavin run.
And we mentioned time of possession, always an area of the game where Lincoln is dominant, and that wasn't the case early on, but we're seeing signs of that now, as here's the power back up the middle, Ed Slavin, gain of about 4 yards as he gets into Reynolds territory.
And just a touch for a second on Lincoln quarterback Chris Burns. You may talk about a guy who throws a couple pass attempts in the first quarter. You may wonder what his role is in such a run-heavy offense. Well, he actually plays a really large role. Wes Warren was telling us that he actually makes all their offensive line calls. He reads that defense, makes offensive line calls, gives those assignments out pre-play. So he's a really intuitive player. Even when he's not throwing the ball, he's a key part of this offense.
That is not something you see very often at this level. Here's another handoff to Ed Slavin, trying to come off the left edge, getting close to that first arm marker. A little shy, but third down, 3rd and short upcoming.
Ed Slavin is kind of finding his rhythm here as that power back. He's had a couple nice runs here the last couple drives. And this Lincoln offense is kind of one of momentum. You start getting it rolling, and it gets harder and harder to stop because they start clicking on all cylinders.
3rd and 2. One receiver set to the near side and some whistles. Flags fly. Clearly some movement on the offense. That could be costly. So 3rd and short becomes 3rd and 7.
That's the first penalty on offense for Lincoln. They did have that one on the interception return, but they've done a good job so far tonight of eliminating those kind of penalties. They are costly when they happen. Now you're looking at a 3rd and long.
So they're going to switch the receiver to the far side now with 7 yards to go, right at midfield. They hand it off, trying to come off the near side edge. Nolan Osbo with the carry up to the 45-yard line, and they're going to bring the punt team on.
Wes Warren being a little more conservative than he is in PIL play. This is oftentimes 4-down territory, but tonight, with everything on the line, wants to give that Reynolds offense as long a field as possible to work with.
You are absolutely right, Garrett. Cameron Osborne back to receive. Here's the kick from Slavin. They're going to let it bounce, takes the friendly bounce. Is it going to get into the end zone? No, they're going to stop it. So an excellent punt there. Nets them just over 40 yards, and that's about as good as you could have scripted it up.
Yeah, and you can't blame the Reynolds returner there. He made that decision to let it go, and it was taking the right spin and the right bounce, but that Lincoln return team got there fast enough and covered it up. You know, Wes Warren wanted to give Reynolds a long field. You don't get much longer than 98 yards.
Not at all. Tyler, is going to be put to the test here. We know he can run it. This could be an area of the field. Obviously, some danger. You want to avoid a safety taking a snap into your own end zone here. But this is a situation where we could see some play action. Maybe Christensen take it himself, try to get some wiggle room to work with. They're going to set up with 2 receivers split on each side. As we see Brandon Lightgeb check into the game on defense for the Lincoln Cardinals. Coming out, Ricky Cruz. Both those guys playing both sides of the field, tight end and linebackers. They're going to hand it off. No, it's Christensen taking himself, and that's danger. Did he get out? He did get out of the end zone, but not by much.
Yeah, they may have got him to say he fell forward to the original line of scrimmage, but that's a dangerous play. I wouldn't be surprised, we haven't seen it much yet, if maybe they try and get something out in space. That Lincoln defense has that box pretty stacked up. If you can get a quick out to one of your receivers, you might get a little space.
Low snap, but we have a whistle.
And
they were handing it off. Let's see what the penalty is here. If it's on the offense, it's half the distance to the goal, so it won't move much. But it is on the defense. That's costly. Another penalty for Lincoln. And we knew that was one area of the ballgame where Wes Warren was proud of his team for not committing that many penalties, but a couple costly ones here early on.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. Gets them out of the shadow of that end zone.
So 2nd and 4, Christensen has it. He's going to hand it off to McMichael, trying to work up the middle. He's going to get close to the first down marker, but short, as he's about the 9-yard line. So 3rd and about 2. But yeah, that penalty makes a big difference on this drive, especially if they're able to convert here.
It also removes the specter of a safety. It takes that kind of worry out of the mind of Tyler Christensen.
Here's the snap. Handoff getting to the outside is McMichael, turning the corner near that first down marker. And it looks to me that he got enough up to about the 13.
Yep, they're going to move the chains right there. And that's what that 5-yard penalty can do. You don't know exactly what would have transpired, but you made that line to gain so much closer for Reynolds. And now you've given them a little bit of momentum instead of turning another 3 and out and getting some excellent field position for your offense.
Keeps the defense on the field on what could be a long drive. And now we have more whistles. The defense again.
It is. I think there was a hard count there. There was a little confusion with the defense. There were 2 receivers out to the offense's left and just not able to get the communication in properly.
So another penalty for the Lincoln defense will set up a 1st and 5 for the Reynolds Raiders. Up to the 18-yard line, working from that far hash mark. 3 receivers stacked to the near side. Low snap, looking right side. Has a man near the first down marker. Complete, just a little short dump-off pass on that far sideline. Complete to number 1, Kadon Fletcher.
And that's the kind of passing offense we expected to see most out of Reynolds here tonight. It's kind of those short passes because they're so hard to defend unless you're jumping routes. It's so hard to defend some of these quick routes when they're thrown on time and accurately.
4 receivers set. They're going to hand it off to McMichael, trying to turn the corner on the far side. Needed 1 yard for the first down. Got that and a couple more. Up to the 25, so 1st and 10. A sustained drive for the Raiders. Mentioned time of possession. Don't have the official numbers, but if this drive continues, I would believe Raiders would be in the lead in that department. Here's the snap, handoff to McMichael. Once again, running into some trouble from the Lincoln defense. And Lincoln has a big advantage. You can see on your screen the sidelines. Lincoln has so many more players on their roster, and that's something that they have in the PIL as well. One of the largest rosters in the local area, and you see so many more opportunities to switch players in and out, keep those legs fresh.
It almost looks like a college or pro sub package all the time you get players in and out.
Quarterback drops back, throwing deep, far side, going to be out of the reach of the intended receiver. Once again, Kadon Fletcher playing on that far sideline. In on the coverage, Brad Emmons, who is also the third-string quarterback for the Lincoln Cardinals. Excuse me, second string, but playing defense right now. And Emmons has gotten a lot of action, especially in second halves lately, but we're expecting a lot of Chris Burns this evening, especially if it stays close. Here's a snap, handoff to McMichael, dodges the first tackle, stays on his feet, powers his way up to the 37-yard line. That's enough for a first down. They needed 12, got about 14.
And that's a tough play to give up as a defense. That was a draw play just designed to let's get a few more yards, get field position in our favor, and hey, if it goes well, great. And McMichael able to run fast, get that first down, and keep the Reynolds offense on the field.
4 receivers, 1 man in motion now. Here's the snap, 3 men on the left side, handoff to McMichael again, dodges the first tackle, and another solid gain for the young man, who it's worth noting, second in line for carries last week. It was a week ago that Anthony Pelster carried the ball 31 times. So, unfortunate. Not healthy to play in this game, but McMichael getting the opportunity, and so far so good for the young man.
Absolutely. He's done a good job here tonight. And this Reynolds offense is putting together an impressive drive, considering it started all the way back at their own 2-yard line.
Defense looking a little antsy for Lincoln. They fake the handoff, throw to the far side, complete across midfield, knocked out of bounds. Goes out to Chase Buell, or Cameron Osborne, excuse me, on the reception. Rufai in on the coverage. You had the interception earlier in the ballgame.
You're seeing some impressive work here by Reynolds, having moved in some of this short passing game that we saw primarily running in that first drive. This is a nice balanced attack, and it's keeping the Lincoln defense on the field.
You see a hard count there by Tyler Christensen. 4 receiver set, low snap, looking left, a little dump off pass to the running back, incomplete. A tackle after the play. You hear the fans perhaps looking for a flag, but that ball was in and out of the hands. I think the defender, it was close, but I can understand keeping the flag in the pocket there.
I can as well. I mean, the way I look at that is your defender doesn't have a great angle to see that ball come out. And until you hear a whistle, you have to assume that the ball is live, the play is live. You know, it wasn't anything egregious in my opinion.
Not at all. And I think he pulled back a little bit once he made initial contact. So 2nd and 10. Here's a snap. Christensen going to take it himself, going up the middle, trying to get tackled from behind. Malachi Rodriguez. He's going to be short of the first down by about 3 yards, but still 7 yards on the carry, maybe 8 for Christensen, who had over 100 yards from the quarterback position on 20 carries a week ago.
And that's the tough part about defending a mobile quarterback. You get that pocket breaking down around the edges, but he's able to run it right up the middle, as that's where the weakness in the Lincoln attack was.
Little pitch, spin move, but nowhere to go. A short loss on the play.
I think that was Abe Taylor lined up there who got the pitch.
So now 4th down. What are they going to do? Looks like the offense staying on the field for the Raiders. 4th and 4. Big play here. Crowd starting to get pumped up. 3 receivers stacked to the near side, perhaps trying to get the defense to jump, actually. Could see a timeout here. Nope, they do snap it. Hand off to McMichael. He runs into trouble. And a nice tackle there by the defensive lineman. With 3:05 on the clock, Lincoln takes over on downs.
I think that was John Ritchie who got in there, and an excellent tackle. What I saw is Chris McMichael trying to spin out of that, but Ritchie stuck with it, brought him down, and got Lincoln offense the ball back.
Excellent job by the defense. Now with 3:05 on the clock, both teams have 3 timeouts remaining. No timeouts used thus far. Let's see if Lincoln can march down the field and convert for a score. Burns under center, wing T formation. Here's a handoff, trying to come off the near side edge. Ed Slavin, short gain on the play.
This Lincoln offense, 3 minutes for some offense seems like the whole world. This Lincoln offense can eat up 3 minutes really fast. So it'll be interesting to see. This very well could be the last possession of the half.
No 2-minute warning here at this level. Keeping the ball on the ground, as Lincoln often does, will continue to run the clock. Could expect some timeouts here. Here's Slavin on the carry, breaks free, enough for the first down across midfield. They're going to spot it at the 46-yard line, so 1st and 10, Lincoln converting, moving the chains. The clock will stop while they move the chains.
We actually have a Reynolds player down as well. Can't see who it is at the moment.
Let's take a moment to tell you about our sponsors. Wash It at Washman. Enjoy a sparkling clean car in only 3 minutes. Save time, save water, save rivers, and wash smart at Washman. It's better for your car and for the environment. Now at 12 different locations to serve you. Wash It at Washman. Marone's Analytics was founded in 2002. They specialize in damage analysis for litigation, business valuation, and forensic accounting. They are a group of financial professionals with diverse specialty credentials in forensic accounting and business valuation. Visit them at maronisanalytics.com for more information. Go Cardinal Football. Ponderosa Investment Group, LLC is a registered investment advisor. We provide unbiased, independent, fee-only investment management services, mainly to individuals. How's your IRA performing lately? Let us help you. We've been supporting Cardinal football for over 16 years now. Call them at 503-286-0005 or visit us at ponderosaaig.com. Cardinal football, start your dynasty today.
And I think it's Kadon Fletcher who is shaken up and is now up and getting helped off the field. But he's a wide receiver and defensive back, just a sophomore for Reynolds. Of course, everybody here hopes he's doing all right.
Caden Fletcher has gotten a couple passes thrown his way, and he is the star of the receiving corps for the Reynolds Raiders. Just a sophomore. Well, how about 10 receptions for 198 yards a week ago? So that would be a big loss for the Reynolds Raiders. Hope he can make it back in the game. Here's the play. And breaking free on the near side, beats the defender is Easton. Green in front of him, stumbling, but he's going to make it all the way into the end zone. 46 yards for Matt Easton. Another score. We were worried about the clock. They got plenty of time to work with 2:13 remaining.
That run was made, or at least the touchdown portion, by a great block by Nolan Osmo. You saw Easton kind of get near some defenders, and Osmo held his block so well, gave Easton the time to kind of shake a little bit, get some space, and then he was off to the races. Great block by Osmo.
Osmo always in on the action. He's here as the holder. The kick, plenty of distance up and through off the right foot of Ben Paul. And just like that, the Lincoln Cardinals have taken a 14-6 lead with 2:13 remaining here in the first half.
And now if you're Reynolds, this is where missing that extra point really starts to bother you, because now you're in a position where if you want to tie this game up, you need that 2-point conversion, the far less likely play than the reliable extra point.
Lincoln offense has stepped up to the challenge here thus far here in the first half. Now, if you're the Reynolds Raiders, you're down arguably your two biggest weapons outside of the quarterback position. No official word on Fletcher, but just being removed. If anything, I'd expect him to be out on this series and maybe shake it off, come back after halftime.
That's what I would expect as well. I mean, unless it was just something like the wind knocked at him, but he was down a little long for that.
Here's a kick. It's going to take a bounce inside the 30, picked up there. Number 27, we see a late flag. It was DeAndre Katz on the run back. Short return, but we'll see what the penalty adds or declines.
My guess is it might be something on the tackle. They moved that flag to right where that play was. We'll wait for the official signal, but I think that one could be on Lincoln. We'll see for sure. Nope.
Sam Paris was standing right next to the official and signaled that penalty would indeed be against the receiving team, the Reynolds Raiders. So after the penalty, we're going to spot it.
Lincoln football tonight. Please come out tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
Wait and see.
Holding
Holding penalty will get them to start at the 28. So now they have a lot of field to trek down with 2:09 remaining, but with those 3 timeouts.
Yes, indeed. Everyone saved their timeout so far tonight. Those can be big assets here in the final minutes of a half.
Here's the snap. They spread things out. 3 receivers on the far side, thrown over the middle, caught at the 40, and falls forward up to the 50-yard line. A 27-yard reception right there up the middle. Nicely done by those two. That ball goes to Abe Taylor, once again, the star of the offense thus far here tonight for the Raiders.
Excellent job again. We see Lincoln often go into that kind of almost a zone defense. That looked a little bit more man coverage, so a different read. Great throw by Tyler Christensen.
4 receivers split left and right. 1 man in the backfield. He's going to drop back. Here's the deep pass into the hands of the defender. Nolan Osmo, another interception at the 35. Taking it across the middle. Cuts over midfield. Now trying to be dragged from behind. Staying on his feet. And does he get in at the tail end of that play? No signal yet. May have gone out of bounds on the far side.
Trying to see.
There's a flag. They're not signaling a touchdown.
Trying to see exactly. It almost looked like they were trying to spot him way back there, but I'm trying to find out exactly where this play is if the penalty goes against Reynolds. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. I think
the interception is certainly going to count.
Yeah.
The flag came down the field. Nolan Osmo, the star of the secondary, seems like just about every game he comes away with an interception. However, there is a holding play on Lincoln.
And a personal foul on Lincoln as well.
Ooh.
The penalties appear to be after the interception, so
the interception counts. However, the ball isn't going to be anywhere near where they may have initially anticipated. The offense is on the field. Chris Burns just ran from the sideline. Now they've got some other penalties. It looked like one was declined.
Reynolds opted not to take the holding penalty and instead take that 15-yard. Yep.
So I saw the flag down the field here, but we're getting things called back to the 30. But either way, the Lincoln Cardinals will take it. Nolan Osmo, another excellent play on defense. So 1st and 10, now 1:34 on the clock. Burns, handoff up the middle. Not a lot of room to work with there. Just back up to the line of scrimmage. Now do they take their timeout here? 3 timeouts.
It's going to be interesting to see if either side feels aggressive with their timeouts. If you're Reynolds and you think you can stop this Lincoln offense, you may consider taking your timeouts. Maybe after this play, if you got them in a 3rd and long, if you're Reynolds, you may think about it.
Looks like Cardinals may play it conservative and just try to go into halftime with that 14-6 lead. 2nd and 9, they can maintain possession and just let the clock run out. And we see a flag, look like movement on the offensive line. Number 61, Jack Plew.
A false start against Lincoln. The 5-yard penalty on the Cardinals.
So that'll back it up. The clock stops at 57 seconds, and that just about seals the deal for the Lincoln Cardinals, I bet, to just play it safe, keep the ball on the ground, secure the ball, and let the clock wind down here to end the first half. And another flag. Now Lincoln's just getting sloppy.
Yep. And now if you're Reynolds, you think about taking that timeout if you're able to stop them short here. I mean, not a whole lot of time left, but you've got Lincoln backed up inside their own 20. You take a timeout, get a ball back in a return. Something you at least got to think about.
You're absolutely right, Garrett. Let's see what happens here after this play. Here's the snap, handoff to Ed Slavin, trying to get to the outside, turns the corner, runs into a couple defenders.
And there is some
whistle. We do have a whistle.
Brought down by number 1, Keaton Fletcher. Timeout taken by Reynolds.
And Reynolds took their timeout. And again, they're playing aggressively because they know they can use one more timeout likely unless they give up a big, about 17, 15, I'd say about 15-yard play. They can get the ball back and maybe take their chances, get a nice return, see what kind of field position they can get. I actually like a move like that because if it doesn't go in your favor and you're pinned way back, you can just play it conservative. But if things go well, you've gotten the opportunity to add points.
Washman, wash it at Washman. Enjoy a sparkling clean car in only 3 minutes. Save time, save water, save rivers, and wash smart at Washman. It's better for your car and for the environment. Now with 12 convenient locations to serve you, wash it at Washman. So with 31 seconds, 3rd and long, Reynolds likely to call another timeout after this play to give them with just a few seconds after the kickoff, potentially, or the punt, I should say, to work with.
And it looks like they want to put time back on the clock. Maybe 34 seconds. I'm trying to see the signal.
They put 33 on the clock even.
33 seconds.
So that does add a little wrinkle. You never know. Those 2 seconds might be crucial. Lincoln likely to keep it on the ground here. Burns under center. He drops back, looks to be throwing. That is going to stop the clock. Rufai has the reception near the sideline. He's pushed out of bounds. Did he catch it? Looks like he did. No.
They're saying he caught it.
And it's right at the first down marker, too. Maybe, looks to be about a yard short. So that does stop the clock. And the Lincoln offense staying on the field. How about this? 4th and 1.
Evan Slavin into punt for Lincoln.
Excuse me, Slavin into punt. A lot of those players playing on the special teams unit just saw the numbers and assumed, but not taking any chances. And why would you? As that one is caught at the 25-yard line by number 4, Cameron Osborne, for the Raiders. So with 16.9 seconds, now what do the Reynolds Raiders do? You're down by 8 points. Do you go for a Hail Mary here? Maybe a short gain and then a deep throw. You do with 2 timeouts, they can run a couple plays here.
They can. I think Lincoln did a good job. You're at least going to have it in the back of the mind of Reynolds that maybe they're pinned back deep enough and that Lincoln defense is a good ball-hawking defense that maybe you don't want to throw that Hail Mary quite yet because if they pick it off suddenly, that could go the other way. It'll be interesting to see what the play call is here by head coach Dustin Jans.
1 man in the backfield, 4 receivers, 3 on the far side. Quarterback drops back, looking over the middle, now looking to run it looks like, across the 30, 35, running out of bounds, so he does get that short gain at the 37-yard line. That is a first down run, just over 10 yards on the carry. So now 9.6, they can run possibly one more short play. Call a timeout, if you keep it on the ground.
That was a smart play by Christensen. You saw him heading for the sideline the whole time once he decided to tuck it. He wanted to stop that clock.
Now Abe splits out wide. 5 receivers downfield. 5 seconds on the clock. You got to get to the sideline. Now 2. And they're going to call a timeout. He got down just in time. 1.4 seconds. Remember I said those 2 seconds they added on the clock couldn't matter? Look at this. 1.4 on the clock here in the second quarter.
Yep, and if you're Reynolds, you get an extra play because of that time added to the clock.
So Reynolds is going to take a moment to gather their thoughts here as head coach Dustin Jans calls his team to the sideline. And if you're Wes Warren of the Lincoln Cardinals, you got to get that secondary together and be prepared for a deep ball.
Yep, all you care about right now, knowing there's 1.4 seconds left, is keeping them out of that end zone. So you've got to make sure you don't let anybody get behind you if you are in that Lincoln secondary. Anyone getting behind you is a danger to score late here and really shift the momentum going into halftime. So they're going to be told, keep that whole field in front of you.
Tyler Christensen, perhaps the most talented quarterback that this defense has played against all season long. We know he's capable of throwing the deep ball. However, their most talented receiver is out of the game. That's number 1, Kadon Fletcher. Number 10, Abe Taylor. He's gotten the job done. He's, of course, on the field in the slot on the near side. 5 receivers. They're throwing it deep, but under pressure is the quarterback. Now he's going to run forward across the line of scrimmage and just run out of bounds well short as time expires. So Christensen playing it safe there once he saw his men weren't down and he was under pressure. Not much he could do. Credit the defensive line on that play.
Credit the defensive line, but do love the maturity in a guy like Tyler Christensen. He saw his play wasn't there, decided to tuck it in, make the smart play, and avoid the big mistake. You didn't put points on the board, but you made sure Lincoln didn't have the opportunity for a big interception return with all those athletes they have out there on defense.
First half in the books here at Mike Walsh Field, home of the Lincoln Cardinals. They lead it 14-6 over the Reynolds Raiders in this first round 6A playoff action. Lincoln Cardinals coming in as the number 11 ranked team. Reynolds number 22. You know, you look at those two numbers, you think maybe it'll be a lopsided game. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight.
I think once you get to playoff football, it's tough to just look at the numbers because these teams are all playing different conferences. I mean, Reynolds comes out of the Mount Hood Conference. Their style is so different from what you see in the PIL that I think it's so hard to go an apples-to-apples comparison until you get them out on the field and see who's got what come playoff time.
We knew that Tyler Christensen had an arm on him. So far, the Lincoln defense has stepped up. 2 interceptions. Nolan Osmo in on one, Rufai the other. And keeping it on the ground, a pair of long rushing touchdowns leading to the 14 points for the Lincoln Cardinals. A team that was down 6-0 early, giving up that big play. But the defense didn't get down on themselves and has played stellar football since.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is a team that has been here before, you know. A lot of players have got some playoff experience from last year. They didn't panic giving up that big 80-yard play. As you mentioned, probably the longest play they've given up all year as a defense. And they've been able to really tighten the screws, get a couple turnovers, and keep Reynolds off the scoreboard since then.
Just to recap, it was Abe Taylor on the long catch and run to get the Raiders on the board. I understand they have had some trouble on special teams all season long, missing the extra point that could come up costly for the Raiders. Meanwhile, for the Lincoln Cardinals, a pair of long runs by Matt Easton and, of course, number 83. He's been doing it for a couple years. Ed Slavin getting the job done. Let's send a reminder to tell you to visit some of our sponsors before we step aside for halftime for just a few minutes. Let the Lincoln Band entertain you for a few. But you know what you got to do after the game. You got to wash it at Washman. Enjoy a sparkling clean car in only 3 minutes. Save time, save water, save rivers, and wash smart at Washman. It's better for your car and for the environment. Now at 12 convenient locations to serve you. Wash it at Washman. We also want to tell you about El Sasser Law Office. The El Sasser Law Office assists property owners of any type, commercial, residential, and or homeowners associations with any type of legal needs, from simple transactions to complex litigation. That's going to do it for Garrett and I here in the first half, but stand by. More action upcoming. 14-6, Lincoln Cardinals leading it.
Other scores from the area, Wesleyan 42, Southwood 0. Beaverton 35, the Grant Generals 12. Oregon City 13, West Salem 12. Clackamas 31, Tualatin 6. Central Catholic 21, McMinnville 0. Centennial 19, Franklin 7. Rescue 17, Jefferson 7. Grants Pass and Madison tied at 7. South Medford and Newburgh tied at 13. Sherwood leads Century 19-0.
What's this? Where does this continue? Forward?
Where's what?
The camera itself. What connects the camera to it?
This guy right here. Krista, does it matter which one of these we have?
Do you want to try? So they're both logged in now. And on the Huddle Network, if they're not seeing the camera.
There it is. There it is.
It had to have been this. It's the only variable.
Actually, so it wasn't logged in to the Huddle sideline. So when we went over there, we just went back and logged in on the sideline and then switched to like seconds last.
Danger.
They're giving the ball up on the throw in too easily. Maybe rushing a little bit there.
Okay? Can Kara not do both? I bet she can. All she was doing was writing plays down.
The Lincoln Cardinals coming back on the field as we get ready for second half action here at Wells Field.
All right, we're back getting ready for the second half of action. 14-6 in favor of the Lincoln Cardinals in this first round playoff matchup here on OregonSportsBeat.com. Be sure to check out Oregon Sports Beat tomorrow. So we're going to have a boys 5A soccer quarterfinal. Hood River Valley versus LaSalle Prep. That's at 1 p.m. Dave Hall and Stephen Roberts on the call. Also later on in the evening, a futsal exhibition from Hillsboro Indoor Soccer at 5 p.m. On Monday, we're going to have our big Sports Beat TV show. That's going to be at 8 p.m. live from Spirit of 77 if you're local. Talk of local prep volleyball, boys and girls soccer, and of course, the ongoing football playoffs. Next Friday, pending Lincoln wins this one, of course, Oregon Sports Beat will, of course, be covering Lincoln Cardinal football for as long as they last in the playoffs. We're looking at some of the scores, and it looks to be a matchup against a tough team in Sheldon.
Yeah, right now, whoever wins tonight will more than likely be making the trip out to Eugene. Number 6, Sheldon, has a 42-7 lead over South Salem.
Sheldon, number 6, coming into the playoffs, one of the top-ranked teams, of course, in the state. Should the Lincoln Cardinals make it, that would indeed be a tough matchup. And traveling the farthest they've had to travel throughout the last couple of seasons. I know last year in the second round of the playoffs, I believe it was the second round, Grants Pass had to travel here to Portland. That's a pretty good trek from the southern part of the state all the way up to the most northern point. Just a shot straight up the 5, but it will be Lincoln instead making that long bus ride down to Eugene should things play out as the scores currently indicate. But no sure thing for the Lincoln Cardinals. A close game here, 14-6 in their favor, a game that they were once trailing 6-0. But you're looking at some of the other scores around the state playoffs. What are you looking at?
Well, let's bounce around to some of the PIL teams. Madison was fighting for a home playoff game and getting that number 16 spot. Not able to get it. They had to travel to Grants Pass, and they hold a lead, 14-7 over Grants Pass. Jefferson, number 23, is losing 31-7 to Westview. I think we had one more team in action from the PIL tonight, and that is Franklin, losing to Centennial 25-14. Now, if you're an upset-minded fan, there is one game to watch, and that is number 30 Newburgh at number 3 South Medford, tied 13-13.
Wow, that's a big gap there.
That is the biggest upset potential of the night. Most of the other top seeds, West Lynn 49-0. Jesuit got basically a first-round bye because South Eugene was too banged up and had to forfeit their opening round playoff match.
That's too bad.
And then from there, Clackamas number 4, 31-12 over Tualatin. Let's see, we're just getting updates in real time here. We have number 6, as we talked about, Sheldon doing fine. Beaverton number 5, 35-12. Number 8, Sprague in a close game with number 25, Sunset. That's 14-6. Sherwood, number 9, the team that knocked Lincoln out last year, is ahead 19-0. So most of the top 10 doing and handling their business well. It'll be interesting to watch what happens with that Newburgh-South Medford game being a tight game and a big upset possibility.
Just a few minutes away from kickoff here to begin the second half here at Mike Walsh Field, home of the Lincoln Cardinals. Looking back on the first half, about what we expected. We know that Tyler Christensen is talented. However, after giving up a long touchdown, they were able to step their game up. A pair of interceptions by the Lincoln secondary. It's worth noting that the top receiver for the Raiders, Kadon Fletcher, did limp off the field in the second quarter. We'll have to keep an eye out to see if he returns to the ballgame. No official word from Fletcher, who's number 1 in those white and green jerseys, so keep an eye out for that. We will be looking towards the sideline to see if we can spot him at all, but right now Lincoln set to receive as they kick things off to start the game. 2 men back, as it'll be number 50, Pedro Campos, in for the kickoff. Here it comes. Into the third level of up men, caught there at the 35, just a short return, but if you're going to catch it there, that's just fine. So underway here in the second half, 14-6, Cardinals leading it, trying to add on some more.
And this is the Cardinals' chance to get a statement drive to open the second half. Now, one thing the Cardinals like to do, we've talked about it a lot, is they like to dominate the clock in the time of possession. They come out with an 8-point lead here to start the half. They've got the opportunity to set the tone for the half and really take some time off the clock and dominate the time of possession early. Let's see if they can do it.
Chris Burns remains in the game at quarterback under center. He's going to hand it off, trying to run up the middle. Gets stood up there to Ed Slavin, but boy, does he keep going across that first down marker right up to midfield at the 50-yard line.
Ed Slavin has developed so much from watching him last year. You know, there were times we talked to head coach Wedge Warren that said he was a power runner, but he couldn't read a defense as well as he would like. And you're seeing him make some nice reads here and not just lowering his head. He's developed really nicely over the offseason.
Yards after tackle, I'd love to see that number for Ed Slavin, or after contact, excuse me, because he had some early contact there but stayed on his feet for over 10 yards on the carry. Here's another handoff to Slavin, trying to turn the corner, gets across the 45, knocked out of bounds there, just shy of the first down marker.
And a couple plays, couple nice movement for Lincoln. They've done some nice work here early in the second half. This is exactly what they need to do, come out and set the tempo and set the tone. You really want to get this Reynolds team back on their heels to start the third quarter.
2 carries for Ed Slavin to start things out here in the third quarter, about 20 yards on those 2 carries. They fake the handoff. Quarterback rolling right, has a man deep but covered. He's going to throw to the tight end, Brandon Likeb, off his hands at the 30-yard line.
And I think we also have our answer. I believe that was Kadon Fletcher on defense. Number 1 is out on the field.
He is on the field. That's a great sign. You want these teams at full strength. We know he's talented. I'm sure Lincoln will tell you they want to go against the best, and that's one of the best in the league. Just a sophomore. We'll be seeing more of him over the next couple of years here in Oregon football.
No doubt.
So Fletcher playing in the secondary. Here's a handoff up the middle, breaking free. Ed Slavin running into the secondary, up to the 20-yard line. Another big, long gain for him, about 21 yards on the carry.
They're able to do on this drive what they didn't do a whole lot of in the first half, which was keep those chains moving with big chunk plays. You know, it was a more methodical offense here in the first half. So far, they've gotten, I believe, 3 first downs, moving the chains really effectively on 3 big runs.
Past couple games, Slavin hasn't gotten a whole lot of work only because the score hasn't really mandated it. Here's a handoff, trying to run off the near side edge, spinning, falling forward, losing the ball at the tail end of the play. And it looked like he was down and then set the ball down. We have no signal.
That is the call. That is the initial call from the side judge there. He was indicating, pointing to the ground, that the runner was down when that ball came out.
Getting it up to the 14-yard line. You could hear the fans getting into it on both sides. The Raiders certainly thought they may have had a turnover here, but here is a false start on the offense. Another penalty. There's been a number of them so far for Lincoln.
Yeah, they started out that first quarter was a pretty clean quarter penalty-wise, but as this game's gone on, we've seen more of those penalties, particularly some false starts that have really kind of pushed drives back. And not to mention 2 incredible interception returns brought back by penalty as well.
Wing T formation, the Osmo brothers in the backfield. This one goes to Nick. He gets pushed out of bounds just shy of the end zone. But a nice gain there by Nick Osmo, who has continued to get more and more carries as the season has progressed and gain the trust of the head coach of the Lincoln Cardinals, Wes Warren.
I mean, Osmos have a long history here at Lincoln. I remember doing a couple games, or a game a couple years back. I believe one of the Osmos was at quarterback then. So, I mean, we've seen a lot of Osmos go through this Lincoln Cardinal program.
They're back in the backfield yet again in that wing T formation. This one goes to Nolan Osmo. He dodges through that first defender, gets inside the 5, staying on his feet, and they're finally going to blow the whistle. Speaking of those Osmo brothers, we want to tell you about Osmo Construction. They specialize in large, high-end residential remodels and new homes in the greater Portland area. Proud Lincoln family and has supported Lincoln youth and high school football for over a decade. Go Cards. The Osmos family, I'm sure, hoping for a score here. Burns under center. Fishman at that center position. Here's a handoff to Nick Osmo. He scores from 4 yards out. Coming off the right side. Not a lot of defenders in his way.
Not at all. That was a great drive for Lincoln. They took about 3 minutes off the clock, one of their faster drives, but did exactly what they wanted to do. They put Reynolds back on their heels. Reynolds is now going to be down 14, maybe 15 pending this extra point. That's a big way to start the second half.
Fishman to snap. Nolan Osmo, the holder. Here's the kick. Up and through the uprights. And another point on the board. Ben Paul with the extra point. 21-6 with 9:07 on the clock here in the third quarter.
Lincoln came out and did what they wanted to do. They moved the ball so effectively. Outside of one false start penalty, everything went Lincoln's way on that drive.
Trailblazer Foods, founded in 1984, is one of the western United States' largest producers of preserves and jellies, table syrups, shredded and flaked coconut, drink mixes, Italian syrups, institutional pie filling and glazes, and other sweetener fruit-based products. Trailblazer Foods wishes Lincoln Cardinal football great success in 2016. Call them today at 503-666-5800 or check them out online at trailblazerfoods.com. Ben Paul in to kick. 2 men back to receive. That's number 4, Cameron Osborne on the near side. Number 10, Abe Taylor on the far side. We know they're capable of a good run back. And this one's going to fall short. Get picked up at the 30, across the 40. About 12 yards on the return. Decent field position to start for the Reynolds Raiders.
Yeah, for an upback, he did a great job fielding that, handled it cleanly, and immediately just plowed forward. Able to get good field position for the Reynolds.
You get the sense, I mentioned those playmakers back to receive. Lincoln Cardinals trying to keep it out of their hands.
Yeah, absolutely. You know they have the leg to kick it deep if they want to, but they've been avoiding that big special teams play. They want to make the Reynolds offense beat them, not that third phase of the game.
Tyler Christensen should have another weapon back, Hayden Fletcher. And he is indeed in the game, the far side receiver. One man in motion. They're going to hand it off to Abe, who tries to get around that outside edge. We have a flag in the backfield. He turns the corner, gets pushed out of bounds across midfield. It was Abe Taylor on the carry, but let's see what the penalty says.
Almost certainly a holding call against Reynolds, and that is the signal.
So that negates a quality gain from Abe Taylor, who from the receiver position was in motion and took the handoff. He's been doing a little bit of everything on offense for the Raiders.
Yes, he has. They use him. I think they've had him lined up in the backfield to get a pitch. That was kind of an end-around play. They've used Taylor quite a bit.
Back the ball up inside the 30-yard line. Repeating first down. First and 20. They'll need to get across midfield. First down marker at the 48. It's about 22 yards, excuse me. Here's a handoff trying to get to the far side edge. Short gain for the quarterback, excuse me. Tyler Christensen. Chris McMichael, if you saw the running back running on the near side, he sold that one the whole way like he was the ball carrier.
Absolutely. He was going, acting like he was tucking that ball in. He was working as hard as he could, try and get one defender to hold on for just a second longer. Yep.
Quarterback in the shotgun, one man in the backfield. He drops back 3 steps now further. A little down pass. Defender was all over it, but incomplete. Just trying to dump off there near the line of scrimmage.
They were looking to set up a screenplay, but the Lincoln defense was all over that. Hard to set up a screenplay when there's a defender sitting there behind where the blockers are going to be.
It does show the intelligence of Christensen. He was essentially throwing that one away, just throwing that one in the ground, but in the vicinity of a receiver. But he knew that screenplay wasn't going to work.
Yeah, he's made some nice decisions today.
So that's something that could easily be overlooked. But Christensen not taking any big risks, perhaps because he's already thrown 2 interceptions in the game. But we do have a timeout. Both teams were conservative in the first half with those timeouts, but Dustin Jantz calling one here early, 8:07 on the clock here in the third quarter. That gives us more opportunity to tell you about our sponsors. Osmo Construction, they specialize in large, high-end residential remodels and new homes in the greater Portland area. They are a proud Lincoln family and have supported Lincoln youth and high school football for over a decade. Go Cards.
And that's an unfortunate need to call a timeout this early in a half. You know, this game has so far been within a score or two, and if it stays that way, you know Reynolds is going to want those timeouts late in a game. That's a tough timeout to have to take.
4 receivers split on each side. Low snap. Quarterback has it. Throws a dart over the middle across midfield. And the ball is loose after the reception. Picked up. Run back on the near side. Defender behind. And Abe Taylor able to take down number 29, Sam Paris, who runs it back about 20 yards. And that you got to feel for the Raiders offense, as that was a big play that turned around in an instant.
And Sam Paris has never had an intercept or a fumble recovery that came out easier. It just bounced on the ground and almost bounced right into his hands. And he was able to pick it up, scoop it, and run with it and get a huge return on that as well, putting the Cardinals in great position to try and really open this game up.
The third turnover of the game by Reynolds, the Lincoln defense, who got burned early on in that first quarter with the long 80-yard score. They've stepped up big ever since. Here's Chris Burns dropping back, throwing near sideline into the hands of Reynolds. Did they get it? They did. And what a play. Number 10, Abe Taylor. We mentioned the 80-yard score. That was Taylor. Taylor's doing everything tonight.
Yeah, we've called his name in just about every phase of the game, that's for sure. And that's a rarity that you see Chris Burns do a straight drop back, too, for Lincoln. Normally, it's a play-action pass, but that was a straight drop back, but Abe Taylor was ready for it.
Got the inside coverage, did Taylor. We've seen a similar play, just trying to drop a pass to the outside receiver. Burns not able to thread the needle there. Give credit to the Reynolds defense. Now, all of a sudden, Christensen back on the field.
Yeah, and Abe Taylor 6'2". He's not that easy to throw over, that's for sure.
Couple quick turnovers, and it's Christensen on the keeper. Read option play there with McMichael in the backfield. No gain.
Now it's just a matter of this Reynolds offense finding a rhythm here in the second half. See if they can put a few series together. See if they can move the chains. So far, they've had a tough time moving the football here.
So if you're Christensen, you got to feel good about this. Your defense got you the ball right back. He drops back, looking over the middle. Has a man now. Another interception inside the 10. That one goes to number 28, Liam Salzman, the linebacker in the right place at the right time.
And now we've had 3 straight drives end in turnovers in quick fashion. It was Reynolds' ball, then it's Lincoln's ball, then it was Reynolds' ball, and now it's Lincoln's ball all over again in the span of about 5 or 6 plays.
So 4 turnovers now for Reynolds. And Chris Burns right back on the field with the Lincoln offense under center. A lot of movement, and we see another flag.
And you saw the Reynolds line pointing at some movement, and I think that's the call they're going to get. Back those Cardinals up 5 yards.
I'll tell you what, Garrett. If this score holds up, Lincoln wins this game, goes on to face who we expect to be Sheldon a week from today. You can't have penalties like this against a team that good.
No, when you're starting to talk about playing top 10 teams in the state of Oregon, you can't make mistakes like that as often as Lincoln has made them tonight.
Here's a handoff, trying to turn the corner is Nick Osmo, gets inside the 10. Excuse me, it's Slavin, finally taken down just outside of the end zone at about the 2-yard line. Slavin, another long gain for Slavin all the way up to the 1-yard line. They could go right back to him, however, he's limping off the field. So count Slavin out for at least this play.
We'll have to see where he goes on the sidelines, if he's heading to a training table or if he just needs to take a little break. We'll see what happens with Slavin.
They have one receiver set to the near side right. They're going to hand it off to number 22. That's Osmo. Stays on his feet, and the defense thought he kept him out, but he did not. Nick Osmo, another score for the Lincoln Cardinals. Add 6 more points on the board with the extra point upcoming.
And the Ed Slavin run that set up that touchdown, it was kind of made by the fact that the wing T has so much misdirection. You saw a defender in position for Reynolds to maybe stop Slavin, but he was caught off guard and hesitated for just a second on one of the other options and fakes of the wing T. That's what makes it so hard to defend.
Osmo into hold. Kick is up and through, that being Nick Osmo. Excuse me. Spoke too soon. No good on the kick. So 27-6 the score. 6:39 on the clock here in the third quarter. And boy, a lot of action here in the past couple minutes.
Absolutely. Possession after possession ending in turnover. And now finally somebody able to take advantage of it. Lincoln punches the ball into the end zone, gives themselves a nice 21-point lead.
I don't know that Lincoln has had a game quite like this all season long. They have had a number of interceptions and turnovers by the defense, but not quite in the succession that we've seen, especially here in this third quarter. Chris Burns getting some opportunities to throw the ball in the game. Obviously, like that interception back, and they're going to keep it away from those receivers. It goes through the legs of the second up back and gets into that receiver's hands. You can see the speed there from number 4, Cameron Osborne.
Yeah, and with that play alone, I understand why they're not kicking to him. He had a really slow build-up to get to that because it was off the hands of his up back. But even then, you saw that burst of speed. I totally understand why Wes Warren is not kicking to those guys back there, including Cameron Osborne.
He saw something on film and decided to stay away, and we can't blame him. So the Raiders will get started at the 37-yard line in Lincoln territory, going right to left, trailing big, 27-6 with 6:32 remaining here in the third quarter. Here's Christensen with the snap. They're going to hand it off, try to go up the middle, staying on his feet across the 40 up to the 44-yard line. And it's number 33, Chris McMichael, continuing to get the bulk of the carries in the backfield for the Raiders.
That ball-honking Lincoln defense may have a little bit of opportunity because as this clock continues to wind here, we're about halfway through the third quarter, they may have to go to the air more and more. And they like to get those interceptions, that's for sure. They've been very effective at it tonight.
Hand it off to the second option, but he runs into a couple defenders there. Looks like number 44 in on the tackle. That's Jackson Jones. Sam Paris in on the tackle as well, as Jones will head to the sideline.
Reynolds just hasn't found a rhythm on offense here in this third quarter. Their most successful play of the quarter ended in that fumble. It was a nice pass for a first down. But
2 men in the backfield. Quarterback signals for a man to go in motion. They fake the handoff. Quarterback rolling right, under pressure, finally pitches it out and knocked out of bounds, short of midfield. They only needed 3 yards, however. Did they get it?
I think they might be just short. We'll wait to see the official markers.
It is very close. And now hobbling to the sideline for the Lincoln defense. Looks like John Ritchie, defensive lineman. And he's really limping now, trying to get to that bench.
Trying to get the scoreboard says 4th and 1, but the down marker read first down there for a little bit, and I think it is going to be 4th down, and it's whatever it is,
inches.
It's very short.
I mean, they're usually pretty generous with spots here in high school football, not taking anything away from the referees. But it is indeed 4th and 1, and they are going for it. Offense is on the field, a huge play here in the third quarter. And they're perhaps trying to get the defense to jump. You see the hard count. Some movement from the offense, trying to get them to jump. They're not going to get it so far, at least. Here's the snap, handoff to Christensen. He's enough, breaks free across the 40, and the Raiders, fans in attendance, getting something to cheer about there.
Yeah, you've heard them over the broadcast. They are here, and they are loud, and they are staying in this game, and that's a big play for Reynolds, able to convert that 4th and very, very short with a big play.
1st and 10 Raiders.
Good gain for the Raiders offense, now at the 36-yard line. Low snap. They're going to hand it off to Christensen, who looks to be limping just a tad. I don't know if you caught that, Garrett, but once he picked that one up, didn't really have much power behind it. And he is hobbling a little bit on that right leg.
He is. He has a bit of an unusual gait anyway, and then he was limping on that, but he's still out there.
He's not going to the sideline. Coach put him in. He is the second stringer and getting the bulk of the carries here. And now the ball is loose. It's out there on the ground. It looked like a red jersey was able to pounce on it. And you see the Lincoln Cardinals celebrate as another turnover. This one's very costly. It looked like the Raiders were on the move, had some momentum in their direction. Now with 4:20 on the clock here in the third quarter, Lincoln takes over yet again.
And that was McMichael, just never got a proper handle on the ball. Started to look up and read that defense, but that ball wasn't secured, and it just kind of got kicked to the ground and heads up by a Lincoln defender to fall right on top of it.
Didn't quite get a good look as the action moving quickly on who recovered that ball, but here's the handoff trying to go up the middle for the Lincoln offense. A short gain on the play as Lincoln, that's Nick Osmo on the carry, is really dominating time of possession, at least here in the third quarter.
Well, and this is a situation Lincoln has been in many times this year. They've got a nice lead, 21 points. And this is where if you're an opponent of Lincoln's, you can look up at that clock and be shocked how quickly it's ticking away.
Wing T formation, one receiver set to the far side left. Here's a handoff to Osmo, another short gain. Pair of 4-yard carries will set up third and two.
Again, you start to see that this is the methodical, just kind of moving your way forward. Occasionally you break off a big gain, but this is what the wing T offense was built for. You get a lead, you're able to just make it so your opponent doesn't get as many plays as they need to come back. That's what Lincoln is trying to do right now.
Rufai in at the receiver position on the near side. They're going to hand it off to Nolan Osmo as he tries to turn the corner, but he's going to fall short. So now gain of maybe a yard, and 4th and 1, and they're going to be conservative yet again. Is Wes Warren given the score? Looks to me they're going to bring on the punt team at Slavin into punt.
Yeah, again, the Lincoln Cardinals, they want the Reynolds offense to be the only thing that can beat them. They're taking these more conservative plays, they're punting it, they're kicking away from their special teams. They want to make Tyler Christensen beat them.
Now, you might not think much of punting here on 4th and 1, but at that part of the field, Lincoln oftentimes would be going for it in a standard game as they play a little bit of hot potato inside the 20 as that punt nets some quality yardage there out to the 15-yard line.
Lincoln's reticence to punt in the regular season is definitely not due to the quality of their punter. We've seen Ed Slavin kick off some nice punts, pin them within the 20. There was that time they had him down at the 2. A couple of very nice punts out of Ed Slavin tonight.
So the Raiders deep in their own territory will get things started at the 15-yard line. 2:22 on the clock. Deuce is wild here in the third quarter. 3 receivers on the far side. They've spread things out all night long. Quarterback looking that way, has a man. Caught, spins, stays on his feet, but a few more defenders there to pick it up.
The team speed of Lincoln is so good. You know, a lot of receivers, they break that first tackle, and they've got a lot of room to work, but Lincoln does a good job closing the gap on that ball. So by the time he's broken that tackle, he still doesn't have a whole lot of room to work to make a big play.
We got a flag on the field on the offense. So we'll see where they spot the ball. Leave a holding penalty on the Reynolds Raiders. So the Raiders haven't had as much trouble as the Cardinals so far in this one as far as penalties are concerned. And now they're going to be back inside the 10, right at the 5-yard line. Repeat a first down, 1st and 20.
1st and 20, now an even longer field to deal with. They're looking at a 95-yard drive they need to put together to get in the end zone. And the way Lincoln can eat up time off the clock, they need to get into the end zone on this drive.
Christensen claps his hands, has a man. Little short dump-off pass, trying to cut diagonally across the field for the short gain. Nick Osmo in on the carry. And Caden Fletcher back in the game, but unable to break free thus far.
Yeah, makes it 2nd and 14. Got 6 yards, but they need to get bigger chunks here to try and eat away at this long field in this deficit.
Christensen, dump-off pass to his running back, McMichael. Has some room up to the 20-yard line. So now 3rd and manageable. A couple decent games in a row, about 3rd and 5. Let's see what they decide to do here. They have playmakers on this offense.
No doubt about it. They've had some nice explosive plays tonight, but just not able to sustain continued success tonight against this Lincoln defense.
3 receivers to the far side. They are going to throw it that way. Have a man yet again looking for that 5-yard gain. Stumbles, but he's going to fall forward and get enough. Well done by that receiver for the Raiders.
That was an interesting screen setup.
Taylor getting the job done yet again.
We had an interesting screen setup there. That was thrown to a wide receiver, but you had 3 offensive linemen going out to that screen. Normally when it's a wide receiver screen, you've got another wide receiver and maybe a tight end getting the blocks. But that was a very different kind of scheme drawn up there.
1st and 10 as the clock winds here in the 3rd quarter. 3-step drop, throw over the middle, tipped, but into the hands. Did he catch it? Looks to me he did, as the Raiders, another completion to Cameron Osborne, moving the ball.
So far this quarter, every time Reynolds has taken a step forward, the ball has been turned over. This is their chance to try and sustain a drive and try and eat away at this 3-score lead.
See number 1 there, Caden Fletcher. Tying his shoes, always important. Receivers split left and right. Pair on each side, 1 man in the backfield. Low snap, we've seen a lot of that. Looking to Fletcher. He had him, but Nolan Osmo, that was number 24. That's Brock Rice jumping the route. Well done by Rice. If he's not there, that could have been trouble.
That's nice work, kind of playing that safety position for Rice. You saw that Tyler Christensen, thought he had kind of a hole in the zone there, but Rice able to close that gap and make sure that pass goes incomplete. Almost picked it off.
So Christensen trying to get the ball into the hands of his playmaker on the outside. Christensen rolling right, has a short pass here, and knocked out of bounds is Cameron Osborne. About 6 yards on the play. 3rd and 4.
Easily their best drive of this half, but Reynolds needs to put points on the board. We're just closing in, about to get in the 4th quarter, and Lincoln can take so much time off the clock. They've got to score now to try and start eating into that deficit.
They're going to throw it into the backfield. Once again, Osborne, he gets spun around. It's enough for the 1st down. Osborne looked to be shaken up initially, but now jogging, staying on the field.
He got spun around pretty good on that tackle. You thought maybe he was worried about a shoulder, but he shook it off and seems to be doing just fine.
So they're going to set up Osborne. And 3 receivers total on the far side. Now looking near side, they have Fletcher deep, but overthrown and out of bounds. And Fletcher showing a little frustration on the tail end of that play.
Yeah, they had that step, and I don't think the safety was going to be able to get there in time if that pass was laid in properly, but just not able to connect on what would have been very likely a touchdown play.
That is the end of the third quarter. The Lincoln defense has put a couple zeros on the board in the second and third quarters after giving up the initial score early on, but the defense playing well and the offense getting the job done as well on their end. They lead it 27-6, Cardinals over the Reynolds Raiders. OSAA Construction specializes in large, high-end residential remodels and new homes in the greater Portland area. Proud Lincoln family that has supported Lincoln youth and high school football for over a decade. Go Cards! Ponderosa Investment Group, LLC, is a registered investment advisor. We provide unbiased, independent, fee-only investment management services mainly to individuals. How's your IRA performing lately? Let us help you. We've been supporting Lincoln Cardinal football for over 16 years now. Call them at 503-286-0005 or visit them online at ponderosaaig.com. Cardinal football. Start your dynasty today.
Let me give you a quick look in between quarters at some of the scores. Madison still holds their lead over Grant's Pass 14-7. If Madison can hold on, they would be the ones who have to travel to Jesuit, who got a week off with a forfeit. So Jesuit's always a tough opponent, but rested.
Both these PIL teams could have tough matchups in front of them next week. Here's Brandon Lightcap. He's been in on a number of tackles on defense, making the tackle there after the short game on 3rd and 10. Excuse me, some adjustment there on the scoreboard. That was 2nd down, now 3rd and 6 upcoming. 2 men in the backfield, now a man in motion. We've seen them go to the receiver as we have a whistle here before the snap.
We'll see what that is. I haven't seen the flag, but I'm sure it's got to be there. I'm guessing it might be a dead ball offsides. Yeah, that's the signal. That's a crucial 5 yards for Lincoln to surrender via penalty, because now you're looking at a 3rd and very short.
Certainly a big difference on what has been a good possession thus far for the Raiders, although they do need to convert here. Here's a handoff to Christensen. He's spun around and taken down in the backfield for a loss now. 4th down, not 4th and 1. It's going to be 4th and about 5. See where the spot is.
That's
maybe a little shorter than that, but either way, do they decide to go for it here?
I think they have to. You're down 3 scores against a possession offense like Lincoln's. I think you've got to get, we know they've had trouble with special teams. They've got to get a touchdown. They've got to get in the end zone on this play.
4th and 4. They're going to spread it out. 4 receivers. Christensen alone in the backfield. Quarterback rolling right. He has a couple playmakers out there, and it's caught by Fletcher. Enough for the 1st down, and they convert a huge play for the Raiders with 10:42 remaining here in the 4th quarter.
With that holding penalty that started that drive, they started really their first offensive play at their own 5-yard line. This has been an impressive drive now, just 15 yards from the end zone.
One man in motion, looking to the left is Christensen. Has a couple men, but well covered. Into the hands, threads the needle, and staying on his feet is the Reynolds receiver. I believe it's Ivan Orizako.
Brought down by number 29, Sam Paris for Lincoln.
Sam Paris in on the tackle. So
He was down to the 6-yard line.
the Raiders offense
They did a good job of getting a gutsy throw there. I mean, I thought he was well covered, but able to get 9 yards.
Here's a handoff to Christensen. No, it's the quarterback hanging on to it. Christensen trying to go at the middle. McMichael doing a good job of selling those hands off.
Gains enough for
Hand
Reynolds.
offs.
First down.
Third time's a charm.
First and goal for the Raiders.
Now 1st and goal. The only negative about this drive for Reynolds is it has taken a lot of time to get in to this kind of position where they could score.
Reynolds did have to use an early timeout. Let's see if that ends up to be costly towards the tail end of the game. Here's the handoff, trying to go up the middle, but the defenders are all over it. Don't have a lot of room to go, but he is kept out of the end zone.
And again, time is a factor when you're down 3 scores, continuing to tick down. This has been probably a 5 or 6 minute drive, if not a little longer. Already 3 minutes taken off here in this 4th quarter.
2nd and goal, about a yard to go. Chris McMichael in the backfield, 2 receivers to the far side, and Fletcher on the near side, and it's Christensen getting tackled in the backfield. Trying to take it himself, nowhere to go. Brandon Lykeb and Jackson Jones in on the tackle. And more clock continues to run.
And the Raiders may have moved the ball about 92 yards, but Lincoln's going to make sure those last 3 really are earned.
Back to the shotgun, now looking left, has a man, and an easy score. Little dump-off pass to Tate Blaylock, the tight end senior. Stands in at 6'1", 205, 3-yard score, adds 6 more points on the board.
And with their extra point troubles, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them go for 2. It looks like we're going to see that extra point unit. I'm surprised, knowing they've had troubles, that we're going to see that out there. We'll see. Interesting call.
Point, Garrett. Into kick, Pedro Campos. He mixed his first extra point. I was a little too quick to call it good, so let's take our time here. Snap looks good, hold is good as well, and that kick is well short, and that was tipped there at the line, and the sideline pumped up for the Lincoln Cardinals.
It's a big play because every point can matter here in the playoffs. We saw that first extra point come into play, and now missing another one. Great block by the Lincoln special teams. Keeps this a 15-point lead.
So a facet of the game that the Raiders have struggled with continues here in the first round playoff matchup. So that's 2 points off the board. Both extra points missed, and you mentioned no sign of a 2-point conversion. So 27-12 with 8:15 on the clock, and Lincoln is just going to milk that clock as much as they can. We know Burns has had some chances to throw the ball. I'll be surprised. Nothing will shock me at this point with West Warren, but I'd be surprised to see him throw the ball on this possession.
I would agree with that. That drive was a good news, bad news for Reynolds. The great news is you got in the end zone. The bad news is that took probably 6-7 minutes of time off the clock. Right now, Lincoln would be just okay if you took 6 or 7 minutes to score a touchdown again, because that means game's almost over at that point.
Just about.
They're going to have to score faster if they want to come back tonight.
Rogers and Rufai back to receive. Campos will kick off from the 40-yard line, going left to right. And an onside kick, if you will, goes right into the arms of the first up back there, Liam Saltzman. He's gone in on the action on the defense with an interception, and that might not look like much. But when all of a sudden that ball's coming at you, he may not have expected it, but he was able to handle the situation cleanly.
Yeah, not only is that ball coming at you, you have 11 Reynolds Raiders who all want to get there too.
So that'll never show up in the box score. But Liam Saltzman coming up big there. And the Lincoln Cardinals will go back to their wing T formation, likely to keep the ball on the ground. Malachi Rodriguez in motion, and another whistle for the Cardinals. And another late flag now. Have to wait to see what that second one's about.
After a whistle like that, the second one might be a conduct or an unsportsmanlike on somebody. But
I didn't see anything, but the line judge certainly did. Okay, there's the full start.
We also have a dead ball and sportsmanlike conduct
you called it.
on the Lincoln sideline.
Since we didn't see anything, we're going to just have to imagine one of those magic words was said out near the line of scrimmage.
There's clearly some frustration on the Lincoln side of things. Obviously, they're thrilled with the score, 27-12, but they know they've given some yards back, especially on these penalties.
Well, now you're looking at a first and forever to go. Makes it so hard to get one of those sustained drives because those penalties stack up. So it was a 5-yard and then a 15-yard. So it's 1st and 30.
That could be costly here. Here's a handoff to Malachi Rodriguez. Stands up, stays on his feet, dragged up to the 45. My apologies, that is not Rodriguez. But either way, the ball carrier getting some of those yards back. Looked like Easton on the carry.
Hard to get a 17-yard carry and still know you've got 13 yards to gain your first down.
2nd and 13, certainly more than capable is this Lincoln offense. So Easton remains as one of the 3 options. He's in motion now in that wing T offense. They hand it off to Rodriguez this time, who runs into a couple tacklers. A lot of green helmets all over Malachi Rodriguez there.
I think we'll have a flag thrown right in the middle of that huddle. We'll see what the official call is, but that looks like holding. These are mistakes. These are mistakes Lincoln can't make if they advance tonight. They've given up so many yards on penalties, knowing you've got number 6 team Sheldon, who has been taking care of business tonight. Last time we checked, I'll see if I can get a quick update. But you know they're a team that looks to be clicking on all cylinders. Still up 42-7 over South Salem. Mistakes like that will not fly as you get further in the playoffs.
We know head coach Wes Warren will obviously be celebrating if this score holds. However, once practice time comes around, he's got a lot to work on.
Absolutely. And it's always frustrating on a coach because he's not going to be working on as much of plays to improve on. It's just the efficiency and the technique and just those simple nuts and bolts of football.
Theoretically, it should be an easy thing to fix, but we'll have to wait and see. Here's Osmo breaking free on that far hash mark. 10-5, touchdown. Osmo, 54 yards. What a play from yet again another Osmo brother.
Absolutely, and that's one of those scores that is just a demoralizer if you're Reynolds. You were handed a 1st and 30 to try and keep Lincoln from a quick 3-and-out, and they are able to score a touchdown. You know, those are the kind of things, if you're Reynolds, you know you needed to make that stop there, and now you're back down. Right now 21 with point after touchdown pending, could be 22 points.
All right, Ben Paul did miss his last extra point. This one has the distance through the uprights at another point, 34-12. Nick Osmo wearing number 22, which of course is the number of my favorite player, Garrett, in the NFL. Not current player, but can you think of who it is? Number 22.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to guess he's a Dallas Cowboy because I know you're...
Oh, you do know me.
I'm going to say you're going Emmitt Smith there.
That is the guy. You may have heard of him, Hall of Famer running back Emmitt Smith. 6:57 on the clock. Lincoln adding another score, 34-12. Let's tell you about Osmo Construction. They specialize in large, high-end residential remodels and new homes in the greater Portland area. They are a proud Lincoln family and have supported Lincoln youth and high school football for over a decade. Go Cards.
Number 10, Abel Taylor. Is deep receive for Reynolds.
So 2 men back to receive. Of course, we have Osborne and Taylor. They've been keeping the ball out of the hands, but this is going to go to Osborne. Tries to cut across up to the 30. Going to get stopped there at the just shy at the 29-yard line. So with 6:50 remaining, it's going to take something real special for the Raiders to get back into this one.
Yeah, it's going to have to be real special and real fast again. They were able to put points on on the board on the last drive, but if they took as long as they did then, the game would be essentially over, so they've got to move fast.
And another flag. This one's on Lincoln. I guarantee it. It's number 28 for the Lincoln Cardinals. Liam Saltzman said something a little too close to the referee. He was hunched over, perhaps tying his shoe, and I don't know what happened, but that flag flew.
Absolutely, and he looked quite befuddled by it, but there was no doubt that that's exactly where that flag was going.
So another penalty. What more can you say? Lincoln, in a short game, in a closer game, West Warren would be livid, and I'm sure he is inside, but that'll be settled at another time.
Well, at this point, he's looking at opponents who are, again, top 10 and up from here on out, most likely, or will have knocked off top 10 teams. So he knows these are going to be kind of things that you can't do, and they can't fly, especially little unsportsmanlike conduct penalties that are just free yards.
Christensen takes the low snap, looking near side right, has a man across the 50-yard line, right at the 49 as he's knocked out of bounds for about a 5-yard gain on the play for Tyler Christensen. This young man is talented, playing in what is likely his final high school game, the senior. Don't know what his plans are going forward, but should he continue his football career, certainly showing some promise.
Absolutely. He's delivered some nice balls on time.
Here's another ball trying to throw in between defenders. Pass intended for Keandre Hewitt, the tight end, I believe his first target of the evening. So that'll stop the clock with 6:41, 3rd and 5 upcoming.
And Lincoln can get into a point defensively where they can now start sitting on the pass here pretty soon, because there's just not going to be that much time for a running game, especially because it hasn't been breaking out big yards here for Reynolds.
More movement. You see the defense pointing, but I think this is going to be on the Cardinals.
I think it might be as well. We'll wait to see. They are conferring, so that actually gives the Cardinals a chance maybe to get their case. They're going to get it. False start on Reynolds.
All right, the tables have turned for once. So 3rd and 5 becomes 3rd and 10. That's a big difference.
You have to imagine West Warren's blood pressure may have just gone down a couple notches there.
You'd expect the Raiders to be in 4th down mode, given the score here in the 4th quarter. Another low snap. Quarterback looking over the middle, has a man, takes a shot after the short gain. Defender on the tackle, that's Liam Saltzman. Perhaps getting some of his frustration out after his unsportsmanlike penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. That was about as hard and illegal a hit as you can go for. You could tell that...
Excuse me, that was Sam Paris. 29-28, those two numbers looking pretty close, but not quite.
And actually, we're going to see Reynolds punt it, too.
4th and 8. Here's the punt. Rufai back. He's going to let it take a bounce. Just let it roll. Picked up there at about the 20 by Reynolds. So 5:50 on the clock. We'll see if Lincoln can milk things from here. But every once in a while, they break one free, and it's hard to keep the clock from running in that case.
But I think that's going to definitely be their goal here. With Reynolds punting, that's kind of, I don't want to say the white flag because the players aren't giving up, but coaching-wise, you're realizing we're down 22. Our best chance to get back into this game is to just have to go for it. So with punting, you know that you're kind of saying we may not be on the winning side of this one here tonight.
One man in motion, that's Gaudio, and we see a flag, a false start on the offense. The penalties are really stacking up. We don't have the total. It's definitely double digits, though.
Absolutely. You have to imagine that West Warren may just open a film session by playing all the times the whistles blew for these technical penalties. These penalties that are completely unforced. Your opponent doesn't do anything that forces you into a penalty like that. Those are a thing that West Warren is going to be drilling into these guys as they likely go to face Sheldon next week.
Here's a handoff to Osmo, trying to come off the right tackle.
22, Nick Osmo on the carry for Lincoln.
Short carry for Osmo after the penalty. Gets most of those yards, if not all of them, back.
I also wouldn't be surprised if we see West Warren start to take a look at escaping healthy. You've got 5.5 minutes. You've got a 22-point lead. You might just want to make sure, hey, let's get my guys in healthy because we're going to need all hands on deck if possible.
That's a good point. I don't think there has been a Lincoln quarterback that has played every snap of any game this season. Now, Burns, by my estimation, has been out there for each snap thus far. Here's a handoff trying to get around the outside. Another short gain up to the 23. Cosmo Gaudio getting the carry that time.
And you've seen all night the Cardinals running up to the line. You know, they take their time in between plays, but once they've set on what they're doing, they move quickly. They're moving a little more leisurely as a group right now because they're in no rush. They're 4.5 minutes away from moving on, getting out of the first round for the second year in a row.
Chris Burns under center. Gaudio in motion again. Handoff trying to get to the outside. Gaudio with another short gain there. Short of the first down, and here comes the punt team.
Now they'll take that. That's 2 more minutes off the clock, essentially, even with a 3 and out. That Reynolds now is looking to have to score about a touchdown every minute here to try and get back into this one.
Ed Slavin getting the punt. Cameron Osborne back deep at the 40-yard line. He's going to let it bounce and let it go. It rolls back to about the 39. And if you're Tyler Christensen, you get at least one more series to show off your skills here for your high school career.
Yes, indeed. We actually, I believe, have our first finals coming in from around the league. The first one, not a surprise. Number 1, Westland rolling over Southridge 55-7. That game is listed as officially final. The first team of the night to punch their ticket to the second round.
It'll certainly be a tough matchup for their future opponent.
Looking like that will be Lake Oswego. They're up 21-0 over North Medford.
Lake Oswego, the Cardinals' only loss thus far. Here's a deep ball that was in and out of the hands of the initial defender. Now, is that intercepted? I don't believe it was.
It was
incomplete, but number 24, Brock Rice, had his hands on the ball just out of bounds.
It was a heck of a catch. He came down with it, but just couldn't bring himself in bounds. Nice heads-up play off the tip, just not able to get a foot in bounds.
So Brock Rice playing over the top at that safety position, was all over it. Just couldn't keep those feet in bounds coming down with it. Christensen drops back. Throw to Taylor, in and out of the hands, incomplete. Taylor takes a shot.
Broken up by number 1, Malachi Rodriguez for Lincoln.
Rodriguez in on the tackle.
And number 34, Brandon Lightgate.
Abe Taylor listed as a wide receiver, also playing some defensive back, getting in on the action on the ground as well. We've seen an excellent job from Taylor, also a senior. See what his future holds. Snap. Christensen over the middle, and there was 4 red jerseys there trying to throw over the top, intended for Cameron Osborne. Could have been trouble.
Yeah, there was maybe a window, but it would have been a very small window to lay that in to Cameron Osborne. He had a lot of Lincoln Cardinals coming for him, that's for sure.
4th and 10 Reynolds, number 50 Campos in the punt.
And again, we're going to see Reynolds punt. That'll give Lincoln the chance to work at least another couple minutes off the clock here.
One man back to receive at the 30-yard line. Here's the kick. It's a good one. High, end over end. They're going to let it bounce. And rolls inside the 25 up to about the 20-yard line. Finally stopped there at about the 18. So with 3:21 remaining, Lincoln, I'll tell you one thing. One goal for this possession. If you're head coach Wes Warren, no penalties.
Not a single one. They've had plenty of them tonight. Because again, the score remains the same at Sheldon. It's 42-7. So unless there's a miracle beyond miracles, we will be traveling to Sheldon the Cardinals making their way to Eugene next week.
We'll see how Lincoln responds, facing a very tough matchup, traveling a long way. We know in Eugene they love their football, so I'm sure that'll be a raucous crowd out there for the Sheldon matchup. Here's a handoff, and Osmo getting around the outside edge, now up to the 40, 50, Green in front of him, 30, 20, 10, touchdown from the 19-yard line, 81 yards from the sophomore. Wes Warren's got to be excited to have this one around for a few more years.
Absolutely. Again, the Osmos are a proud family tradition here at Lincoln High School, and it looks like the youngest version currently on varsity may be ready to make a big impact.
He's making an impact right now at the varsity level in his sophomore season, in his first playoff game. 3:07 on the clock. You mentioned they can milk a couple. I told you if they break free, they can't really do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I talked about milking a couple. You're right, but I think they maybe milked a couple seconds, and that's about it.
Kyle Gragnola getting the opportunity now on the extra point as the kick is through the upright on the far side. And with 3:07 remaining, this one all of a sudden a blowout in favor of the Lincoln Cardinals. Now, if you're following along, Lincoln offensively, 40 points is kind of their benchmark. They have done it now 7 times this season, 40 or more points. Very impressive for the Lincoln offense. They're high on the season, 49. They've done that twice. You know, a touchdown, I wouldn't expect them to go for 2, so they're probably not going to get there.
No, likely not. This game is, I would be surprised if they really scored again, because I have a feeling we're about to see this one wind down, but who knows? I again thought they were going to milk a couple of minutes off in the last drive, and they wound up in the end zone on one big play. Trying to pull up some score updates as well as this game gets in the final moments, let you know what's happened around the playoffs tonight.
Gragnola in for the kickoff, keeps it down low, but the third up back there to pick it up. Nice quality run back. Will get him across midfield into Lincoln territory up to the 49-yard line.
And while the teams are kind of getting set for this drive here, I'll do another look around the PIL. Madison is still holding that 14-7 lead over Grant's Pass. Jefferson is down 31-19 at Westview. That number 3-30 matchup that was so close and tantalizing is currently 20-13 in favor of number 3 South Medford.
Still possible for the upset.
Absolutely.
Here's a low snap picked up by Christensen. Rolling right, looking deep. Has a man, but well covered and caught there by Rufai. They're going to say he's out of bounds.
I'm going to say he must not have had possession of it. A little bit of a fight between him and the receiver, and got out of bounds by the time he got in control. Another PIL score. Number 20 Franklin down 38-28 at Centennial. And I think the other PIL game involved in the playoffs is Grant. They are losing 56-19 to Beaverton. So we're looking at 2 possible teams right now in the lead. The Cardinals all but certain to advance. Franklin looking to join them in the second round.
Christensen connects with Taylor. Gets it across the 45 up to the 43.
Number 34, Brandon Lightgib on the tackle.
Brandon Lightgib, you've heard his name a lot this evening. You know, he is the starting tight end for Lincoln, but has really stepped up his game defensively this season.
He does a great job at that linebacker position on defense, that is for sure.
So now 2:22 on the clock. No 2-minute warning here in the fourth quarter. They fake the handoff. Quarterback looking right, has a man, and then knocked out of bounds after the reception. Nice grab there by Cameron Osborne.
Indeed, got to admire the grit and resiliency of players like the Raiders right now. They know this game is likely out of hand, but they are not giving up. They are fighting hard, and you got to love that when you see that at high school football.
Tyler Christensen looking to the sideline, awaiting the play as the offense walking off the field, and it's going to be a timeout called by Lincoln. The Lincoln Cardinals calling their first timeout of the evening. Now, you might wonder, 41-12, why is Wes Warren calling the timeout? Well, let's just imagine this is a close game. You're trying to keep the offense out of the end zone with 2 minutes on the clock. You kind of want to prepare for that imaginary situation, and that's what they're doing here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think they're absolutely getting to a point where they can look ahead. They know that they're not going to give up a 29-point lead in 2 minutes and 14 seconds, but they also know, again, the opponents will continue to get more difficult every round of the playoffs, and they want to just make sure they're on top of their game, and getting some good reps in here is part of that.
So just over 2 minutes remaining. Christensen has it, rolling left, has a couple men out there, throws near the sideline, caught, staying on his feet, enough for the first down, spins, and finally taken down there inside the 20-yard line, going to Abe Taylor. Another connection between those two.
Yeah, he has definitely been the number one target of the night for Tyler Christensen. Can't say exactly how many touches he's had, but that's got to be a pretty high number there for Taylor.
Double digits certainly now inside the 2 minute mark here in the fourth quarter. 41-12, well out of reach for the Raiders. However, they would love to go out strong here, finish things off with a score, finishing off their season. Here's a handoff to McMichael. Stays on his feet, powers his way up the middle, inside the 10-yard line. Quality carry there by McMichael. Hasn't gotten a touch in a while, but showing fresh legs there.
Yes, and now they're inside the 10-yard line. Going to be first and goal scenario, looking to end their high school season on a high note and try and get into the end zone, even in a loss here tonight.
Looking forward to next season. McMichael, a sophomore, so he should be back. And then Pelster, who didn't get an opportunity to play tonight, unfortunately, he is a senior, so his season is done. Take the handoff, get it off to the second option, who breaks free up the middle. That's number 4, Cameron Osborne. The receiver getting the job done in the backfield, runs it in from 5 yards out. And if that is indeed the final possession of the Raiders season, they got to hold their heads high on that bus ride home.
Absolutely. They took one of the top defenses in the state of Oregon, were able to put a drive on them on their final drive of the night. No, that's about as well as you can hope for in a loss like this one tonight for the Raiders.
Raiders fans given something to cheer about late, and there's a good quality kick. Extra point is good. 41-19 now the score.
Yeah, with the pressure off, that was a very nice kick, able to make it happen and put the extra point on the board.
Orthopedic and Fracture Specialist is honored to provide medical services to Lincoln athletic programs. Dr. Andres is Lincoln's team doctor. Call 503-214-5299 for appointments or visit OandFS.com. Go Cards.
And in that number 3:30 matchup, it's now a field goal game. It is number 3 South Medford 23, number 30 Newburgh 20.
Field goal, certainly not a sure thing in the high school game, but if it comes down to that, would be interesting. Would be quite the upset if they score a touchdown, of course.
Yes.
That would give them the lead.
Certainly the most interesting game of the night, I believe, in terms of upset potential. And I believe the closest game right now as well with a 3-point difference. Right. Most of the other games relatively well in hand.
So the Lincoln Cardinals will get one more opportunity on offense, likely to just milk the clock and end this one with a 41-19 victory. Campos set to kick off with 1 minute, 26 seconds on the clock. Here in the fourth quarter, Lincoln looking to advance to a second-round matchup against Sheldon. Here in the Oregon State 6A high school playoffs. Lincoln winning 2 playoff games a year ago. Onside kick once again, going right up the middle and falling on it is the Lincoln special teams. That time it's Brandon Lightgap.
And that time you know he was ready for it because you saw everyone lined up. Not quite so much of a surprise that time around.
So Lincoln, 2 playoff victories last year, losing in the round of 8 to Sherwood. Advancing won't be the favorite this year. They were the favorite in the first 2 weeks of the playoffs a season ago. With that one loss, remember they were undefeated until the loss in the playoffs to Sherwood last year. That one loss, week 1 against Lake Oswego, things weren't quite right, didn't score a single point, lost 7-0, and that put a little bit of a damper on their ranking coming into the playoffs, but we've seen them get better. And perhaps they're better than their current ranking, and we could see an upset next week.
It's going to be interesting. Again, you get to that second round, and you have a matchup like a number 6 versus number 11, and anything can happen. I think we've all seen the brackets come March.
Victory formation for the Lincoln Cardinals. Joe Fishman, the center, standing up, waiting as long as he can. Chris Burns kneels down, takes a knee, and that could do it. I think they have to run one more play as there was about 39 seconds on the clock when he took that knee. And give Chris Burns some credit. This will be his first game all season long, the senior, that has gotten every snap at the quarterback position. Here's another knee, and that will do it. The final score from Lincoln High School, Mike Walsh-Field, the Lincoln Cardinals, they're moving on up, defeating the Reynolds Raiders tonight, 41-19.
I believe that makes them the second team to officially punch their ticket tonight to the second round. And again, that means they'll be traveling down to Eugene, Oregon, and facing number 6 Sheldon next week. Sheldon will be coming off a big win. Again, still looking at a 42-7 lead over South Salem. Not yet final, but you have to imagine a lot of these games are going to be wrapping up here shortly tonight.
All right, so programming note here on OregonSportsBeat.com. You can expect the Lincoln Cardinal game. We expect it to be, of course, at Sheldon. So a lot of you locals here in the Portland area maybe don't have the opportunity to travel to that game. Be sure to join us here on OregonSportsBeat.com. That's going to be next Friday, November 11th. Lincoln likely versus Sheldon in a second round playoff matchup. Should be a good one. Keep in mind, we do have some other coverage here on OregonSportsBeat.com tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say, Saturday. Some boys 5A soccer quarterfinal, another playoff matchup. Hood River Valley versus LaSalle. That's going to start at 1 p.m. with Dave Hall and Steven Roberts on the call. There will also be a futsal exhibition from Hillsboro Indoor Soccer at 5 p.m. here on OregonSportsBeat.com. But that's not all. Monday night, 8 p.m., SportsBeat TV, live from Spirit of 77 here in the Portland area. Going to be talking everything volleyball, boys and girls soccer, and, of course, these football playoffs as the Cardinals kneeling down at about the 10-yard line, celebrating this victory. Meanwhile, the Reynolds crowd in attendance going down, trying to congratulate their friends and family on an excellent season for the Reynolds Raiders. They're going to finish off 6-4, but I think we saw some quality players out there on the field for the Raiders.
And these were steps in the right direction. This is a team that I believe won 2 games last year, didn't make the playoffs. This is a big step forward. And you look at this roster, you do have Tyler Christensen graduating and a few other notable Raiders graduating, but there's a lot of youth on this team and a lot of good players we saw playing tonight in the playoffs who will be here for another year or two. There's a good foundation for Reynolds here.
For the Cardinals, it was just another case of a power run game, and when they were able to break free past that secondary, regardless of who had the ball, it seemed like they were able to break off those big runs. The first quarter, it was a little shaky for the Cardinals. We have to remember, Cardinals once trailed this game, and we were kind of looking at each other like, oh, they got a big test here, but they sure did turn things around and quickly.
They did turn things around. Their big point of emphasis, we talked about it several times during the game, is going to be penalties. They committed a ton of them. Again, we don't keep an official count up here, but it had to be in the double digits. Plenty of penalties, and a lot of penalties, again, not forced by the opponents. False starts, unsportsmanlike conducts, the stuff that you start doing later in the playoffs, and you're going to lose a lot of yardage.
So the Lincoln Cardinals improve after the victory, 8-1. Once again, your final score, 41-19, the Lincoln Cardinals over the Raiders. That's going to wrap up our broadcast. Be sure to to join us next week here on OregonSportsBeat.com. For Jim Thompson, behind the scenes, we want to thank Ryan Johnson here at Oregon Sports Beat. For my broadcast partner, Garrett Imeson, always a pleasure. I'm Shane Downey saying so long. We'll see you next week.